understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
That's it! You're locked in here with me.
Small fringe minority.
All right. What is it? Sunday night? Sunday night, I guess it's the Sunday night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing? Good to see you guys. Who do we got here? A Trudeau Survivor. We got Izzy. We got Mickey. We got Danny over on YouTube. We got Lori over on YouTube. Good to see you guys. Now, as everybody knows, we're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on Locals. And as everybody knows, you get free good karma when you like the stream. Obviously, subscribing to the channel, all of that. But liking the stream at any time, you get free good karma. You get one healthy dose, except when you're the first like, second like, third like, you get extra. So let's find out who's our winner. Trudeau Survivor, first like, first comment. First like and first comment. Well, that's, I don't know, that's 4 quadruple good karma plus an extra 2 for first comment. That's whatever 6 is. So I know quadruple, quintuple. I don't know 6, but it's 6. 6 times. Mickey's got second and second. So let's see. So if it was 4, then that's 3, and then 1. That's 4 for you. That's 4 good karmas for you. Let's see. Lori got second like over on YouTube. So that would be 3 good karmas for you. 3 good karmas, which is a lot. That's an enormous amount of good karma for anybody. Everybody make sure that you do the good karma. Everybody make sure you do that, because it's a dangerous world out there. Get the good karma. In these troubled times, you're going to need it, my friends. All right. What are you guys saying? Before we get to the menu, what are you guys saying quickly? Mickey missed us the other night. Well, we missed you too. We were all very worried. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, last stream was Radio Baloney, Rosie, and JJ Nevada all fighting over who will be leader of Greenland. That will clearly be me. Emperor of Greenland, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Vicky says, Radio Baloney has a lot of issues with certain groups of people. They're all going to jail. Well, they are. Who are we talking about? Well, obviously, we're talking about people who are not actually in a bike race, but they wear the bike racing Velcro thing. No, not on my watch.
Right to jail, right away.
Absolutely not. Also, there was somebody on a bicycle, and I was trying to overtake them, but I couldn't because there was oncoming traffic, and they weren't over far enough. Guess what?
Right to jail, right away.
Immediately. That guy, forget it. That's life. When I become emperor, I will be a tyrant, just to be clear on that. Just so everybody knows, I will be a tyrant when I become emperor of, I don't know, Greenland or Canada or wherever. Don't get on my bad side. That's the point I'm making. Trudeau Survivor got the first like on YouTube. That's 4 more good karmas for you. Nothing bad can ever happen to you now. Let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, all the jails in Canada are full. We have no room for any more criminals. Yeah, I think that's pretty much true. Although, are they full? Because they keep letting them all go. I think there's actually room in there. Just the Liberals keep letting them out. Or not putting them there in the first place. Trudeau Survivor says, there are channels on YouTube of ex-cons talking about different jails, living conditions, culture. It's an interesting niche. Yeah, it's fascinating, actually. And it makes me want to never, ever do anything that would get me there. Izzy got like number 3. That is double good karma. Double. That's still a pretty good deal. Mickey, first on X, there's 4 good karmas right there. I'm doling them out like crazy. I still got plenty left, people. Plenty left. Hit that like button. All right. Anyway, listen. I tell you to hit the like button. This is why I tell you. So I heard about this guy. Loved the channel. Watched every stream. Always liked. There's one stream he just didn't. He just forgot. He just didn't do it for whatever reason. So anyway, he works nights. So he watches the stream. He goes out. It's the middle of the night. He's a piano thief. That's how he makes his living. That's how he feeds his family. So he's driving around looking for piano stores, right? So he can steal a piano, sell it, pay the rent. He finds this one piano store, super fancy piano store, really, really beautiful piano store. It's a new one. Never seen it before. So anyway, he knows what he's doing. He breaks in there, and there's this piano, most beautiful, expensive looking piano he's ever seen. All right. Now I want to remind you, he went out without liking the stream and getting his good karma. But he thought he had good karma because he sees, wow, this is the piano of a lifetime to steal. It's beautiful. It's got gold on it. There's like beautiful golden like candelabras on it, but it's enclosed in this big glass like case, like mini room. It's quite a big piano too. But he thinks, I've got to have that. I could live for a year off this thing. I could make a fortune off this piano. So he's got all the tools, and he ends up actually being able to cut through the glass, a hole big enough to get the piano out. But it's a real big piano. And he's a very strong man, is the thing. That's why he can work alone. But he's struggling. He's putting it on dollies and stuff to try and get it out. He's like all sweating and stuff. And he's, what he didn't understand was, what he didn't know. And if he'd read the little plaque off to the side, this used to be Liberace's piano. And as everybody knows, Liberace had the worst AIDS that there is, the most powerful AIDS that there is. And the AIDS is so powerful that it was still on the piano after all of these years. It was still there just waiting. That's why it had the glass around it. That's why it was in the glass room, because it was too dangerous. Couldn't have people touching it. He's sweating. It's all that Liberace AIDS is getting into his pores. 2 days later, dead. Doctor said, really unlucky. He said, that guy could have used something. Could have used a bit of good karma. Good karma. That's what happened. That's the kind of thing that can happen to you if you don't like the stream and collect your good karma. So I'm just saying. All right. I've got more coming of those as well, by the way. And they're all around Liberace. All of them. Let's see. You guys are talking about the sandwiches. They're very good. Beautiful memorial for Charlie. Who said that? It just skipped up the screen. Yeah, that was Turtles. How you doing, Turtles? Yeah, we're going to get to that. Turtle says, hold on, first grave robber and now pianos. Yeah, and there's more coming too. Turtle Strive says, Fourth Like has some controversy. Well, Fourth Like is 1.25 good karmas. So still good enough to keep you from getting Liberace AIDS, I think. Turtles asked, do you have a beef with Liberace? I don't. Although I hear he was bad, real bad, like mean. That's what I hear. All right. All right, let's keep going here. Blah, 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 blah. Denny says, good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Yeah, I actually had a nice weekend. Thank you very much, Denny. Let's see. All right, I'm going to skip down to the end here, and then we're going to get going. I'm going to go through the menu. Then we'll come back to the chat. All right. Turtle Strive says, dried piano AIDS is the word. Yeah, exactly. Got to watch out for that. So here's the menu. Here's what we're going to talk about tonight. We'll go over it very quickly. Then we'll go back to the chat. And if there's much there, we'll sit there for a minute. Then we'll come back and go through everything in detail. So first off, yes, the Charlie Kirk Memorial. We will go through this. And there's a bunch of speakers. I saw some of it live. And there's actually clips in here that I haven't seen myself yet because I've been busy this afternoon and then obviously busy for a couple of hours while I was putting the stream together. So I will be watching some, like I haven't watched the Tulsi yet, but we'll take a look. Good to see Elon Musk with Trump there again. There's Dana White. They are, they're a powerful team together, and it's better when they are friendly. So yeah, we're going to take a look at this, and there's a bunch of stuff on here. We are going to take a look at the Jimmy Kimmel thing again. And, there's I see comments like, Like, it's a comedy show, grow a backbone. It's like, no, the man, it wasn't a joke. He didn't tell a joke. He lied about a crime that shocked the world. Like, it wasn't a joke. He made an assertion on his show, which is you're not allowed. It is against FCC regulations to lie about a crime on national television. No, I really, I have no interest in this whataboutism or any of this stuff. No interest. No, you get nothing. Guess what? Carney gets nothing. And what they compare, like, this isn't even cancel culture. This has nothing to do. This has no relation to somebody getting fired from their job because they did like a okay hand sign, because all of a sudden the media pretended that that was somehow white supremacy. No, I'm sorry. This is very different. This is not this. It's Jimmy Kimmel did not get canceled for accurately describing reality, like believing in biology, say, right? These are very, very different things. Anyway, we'll take a look. There's a bit more on this, and then this probably be the last time we talk about it, actually. We're going to take a look at the new liberal hate crime bill. We're not going to spend like hours on this or anything. We're going to go through it fairly quickly. I actually have the bill here. It's not very long. I've highlighted the sections that people need to see. We'll go through that quickly, and I'll tell you what it's all about. And, on this road to Canadian dystopia. We're going to hear from the Canadian Constitution Foundation. Again, we're not going to be spending a lot of time. There's just a bit of stuff on here I want to show you. I'll be going into this bill in more detail later, but I will give you everything you need to know about it for now. We've got some more Canadian news. Canada's justice system is a joke, and of course, horrible things happening, and liberals seem to be fine with it. We've got Mark Carney. We'll spend a little bit of time on him because, he's just, I guess you have to talk about the guy who's destroying your country, right? I guess you just have to. Let's see. Pierre Poilievre, I think he's doing very well. Here, Vassy is trying, on CTV, is trying to gotcha Pierre Poilievre here. It's quite pathetic. He's very good. He's performing extremely well. The only question on whether or not he will become prime minister in the next election, and I hate saying next election, but the next election is if Canada is just simply San Francisco now. Well, Canada, we will take a look at some of that stuff. We've got some Trump. This is not from the memorial today. This is from, I think, a couple of nights ago or yesterday, but that's some interesting stuff there. We're going to take a look at, here, the guy who shot up that ABC station where they were protesting the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation, the firing, the suspension. It's already out. He's already out. Lunacy. And then we have stuff like this. What's going on here? Is that the wrong clip? Hold on. I think this is the clip here.
The age of men is over. The time of the orc has come.
There we go. I want to say something very quickly. For some reason, in YouTube Studio, the chat is not working. It didn't work on the last one, and it's not working on this stream either. So I can't see the chat isolated over there or anything, or any kind of, if anybody does like a super chat or anything. So I can't see. So I'm not ignoring anybody. The chats do come up in the Rumble Studio, so that's good. But anything else I can't see. So I'm not ignoring anybody. It's just that it's a problem on the YouTube back end there. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. Crazy stuff. Well, it turns out these are the trolls here. It's all of these many, like 1,000 phones all hooked up. Look at this. So this is where all the trolls are. They're all in this room here. We'll take a look at that. We've got some random stuff in here. We got the old Mikey commercial. I shouldn't have said that because I was going to ask if you guys knew who it was. Anyway, new people will come in and they won't know. All right. Anyway, we got lots of stuff here, crazy stuff. And yeah, that's the last one of the evening. It's not going to be a super long show tonight. I think it'd be a couple of hours. I think a couple hours at the most, maybe 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, at most 3.25, going on to 3.5, maybe 3.75, at most 4 hours for sure. And I want to ask everybody on YouTube, please go to the new Radio Baloney News channel. At the channel you're watching right now is the original Radio Baloney channel. You can see 13,000 subscribers. Radio Baloney News has way less than that, but it's brand new. And it's got lots of wonderful videos that you will not see on the original Radio Baloney channel. That is only for live streams and Canadian news now. This one is for U.S. news, like unbelievable. Jimmy Kimmel is just making it worse for himself, doubling down. We got the meme reviews, which everybody loves. This one here, just subscribe just for this video here, the media's false right-wing violence narrative. I show you how they do it. I show you how the sausage of lies is made. And it's actually, it's shocking how upfront and transparent it is. So go to this one. And if you go to my homepage, you will see featured channel. It will be this one instead of this one, because this is the one you're watching now. Go over there and subscribe. I need your help. The algorithm won't help me. Let's do this thing together. Don't let the gatekeepers win. Just don't. Let's see. All right, let's get to the chat here quickly, and then we'll get started. Izzy says, slander and victim blaming isn't a joke. Talking about Jimmy Kimmel. Well, it's just a fact that he didn't tell a joke. He wasn't suspended for telling a joke. He was suspended for making a false assertion about a crime, which is right in the FCC regulations. You can't do that. Lorette Caro, how you doing, Lorette? What about hatred towards Christians and the church is burning? Over 85 of them. Well, we'll get to that when we go over the bill, the hate crime bill. But I think we all know that there's going to be arbitrary application of this law, obviously. And you can see it in the bill itself. There's tells. There's always tells. But we'll get to that. Izzy says, did you get my message on X about CO2 saturation science casting doubt on climate change science? I'm not sure if I did. I checked it a couple of hours ago, or maybe longer, 4 hours ago, and I did grab some stuff off there. But if maybe if I don't talk, maybe resend it to me just to be safe, okay? Turtle says, scary. What is on the screen? You're talking about the orc person. We'll get to that. Trudeau Survivor says, Canada will have to completely fail before Liberals realize Carney is a train wreck. Well, this is the question. Is Canada just San Francisco now? Or New York? They just won't learn. They're incapable of ever learning. It's just the political fashion is just so deeply ingrained into them that they've been brainwashed and indoctrinated into this. I think for many of them, like, they have no idea what's happening. It's not, they don't know what they believe, right? They just know what they're against. So they don't even really have an ideology. The ideology is teleprompter said. I know that for a fact. What percentage of the population that is, I don't know. You don't have a teleprompter said. You don't have an analogous teleprompter said population in conservative circles in Canada, because there's no conservatives on TV. There's no conservative news. I mean, there's newspapers. That's a different thing. So for the liberal voters, I don't know, it's probably like 90% are just simply teleprompter said. Just have no idea. I talked to lots of liberals, people, there's lots of them around, and they don't seem to know anything. It's just teleprompter said. It's, well, there's all the, well, I mean, the studies are very clear that the overwhelming amount of violence comes from the right. Yeah, they're not going to, you can say, go to, watch my video on the ADL heat map. extremism, anti-Semitism, and terrorism. Watch my video on that. Go onto it. I show you how they fake it. I show you how they don't include leftist crimes. That's easy. I mean, it's not even like clever. It's just they don't include it. If you go onto that onto their heat map and you look at 2020, apparently the George Floyd riots didn't happen. There was no $2 billion worth of damage. There was no couple of dozen people at least killed. There was no looting. There was no people throwing Molotov cocktails at cop cars. There was no, federal courthouse in Portland being besieged for months. None of that happened. This year, the ICE riots, federal agents being assaulted, police being assaulted. This is all anti-government, by the way. Let me tell you, there's an option for anti-government on the ADL heat map. It's right wing. It's an example of the right wing anti-government. There's no left-wing anti-government. Apparently, the ICE riots were right-wing, according to the ADL. This is how they do it. So my point being, though, the vast majority, I mean, look, you got to understand too, a lot people are working hard. They don't have time to actually go to the ADL thing, but all they're getting is a constant stream of propaganda and indoctrination. And they're not going to look it up. They're not going to check anything out. They're not going to, what percentage of Canadians are going to go and read this bill? Right. And this one isn't the worst. It's not good. It's not as bad as Bill C-60, it's not as bad as Bill C-63, but that's coming. This is just the appetizer, right? This is just the one where they change the definition of hate in preparation for their next really, really dystopian bill. But they're not going to read this. What percentage of Canadians are going to ever see this? None. Not none. It will be the people who watch my channel and then other channels like mine who are much, much more popular. But liberal voters, I don't know, 1%? 1%? Well, the rest is just teleprompter said. So when you've got a teleprompter said culture, that's how you turn into San Francisco. So I'm not sure completely failing will even do the trick, to be honest. I'm not predicting that. I'm not black-pilled. My eyes were opened, though, after that last election, where so many Canadians were so easily fooled into voting for the Liberals for a fourth time in a row. So that kind of took the rose-tinted glasses off for me. So after that, I said to myself, do not ever overestimate the Canadian voter again after that. And I won't. As he says, Canada will be screwed by then. Well, this is the problem. I mean, maybe it'll be like an Argentina thing, right? Maybe, the threat of an IMF bailout will change it. I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. As he says, sent it Friday, short 2.5-minute video. Can you do me a favor? Send it again, because I'm not going to remember to go back and look for it. I might have it in the last thing. I'm not sure. Just do it just to be safe. Let's see. Scott Jennings, Turtle says. I like Scott Jennings. He's good. All right. Trudeau Survivor asks, does Bill C-9 have the hate symbols legislation? It does. And you'll never guess the one they mention specifically. And there's another one that they don't mention specifically, which is not going to be enforced because it's a liberal government. They believe in equity. They don't believe in equality under the law or even rule of law. So it will be arbitrarily applied. That's a certainty. All right. Let's get to it. So Mary Morgan posted this, completely undermining everything Erica's speech conveyed. Distasteful. Completely undermining everything's distasteful. So she's talking about Trump here. So let's take a look at this. I have not watched the Trump thing here. I just grabbed this and let's take a peek.
Missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent. Charlie's angry. Looking down, he's angry at me now. Missionary with a noble.
So, what is she saying here? Completely undermining everything Erica's speech conveyed. Distasteful. Well, she forgave his killer. And we'll get to a clip from her as well. I think this does reflect something, though, what he's saying, which is things have changed. You know, things have changed. And I don't think there's going to be much. I respect her, and I certainly respect, Charlie Kirk's idealism, but I think things have changed, right? I'm not saying in terms of violence, in terms of, emulating the left's violence, no. But I'm talking about not being naive about who these people, who the modern left is now. And we've seen the polling. Maybe the polling will change, but from the polling that we've seen so far, from multiple polls, political assassination is at least sometimes justified by 50% or 50% of the modern left. And you can say in the United States, Democrats, but they're all the same. It's all drones from the same hive mind in every country, because we saw the exact same stuff in Canada that we saw in the United States from leftists after the assassination, and just as in the UK, and I've shown you those as well. But I think the time of being naive is over, right? And recognizing that, no, there's something different. These aren't your old burnout art teachers from the 80s, right? There's something different now. And I think that's what he's reflecting here. All right. So let's see, Erica. So CBC Watcher here is saying, never seen anything like this on CBC in prime time. Everything CBC portrayed Charlie Kirk and his ministry to be in the last 10 days has been completely debunked by CBC's own stream. Yes, well, CBC went into narrative repair immediately, right? On the day it was conservative influencer, the next day it was far right Charlie Kirk. They went into narrative repair immediately. They had to remind everybody, no, it's really the right's who you got to be afraid of. They're the ones who are violent. You got to be worried about their response to this, because they're the violent ones. Let's take a look.
Charlie passionately wanted to reach and save the lost boys of the West. The young men who feel like they have no direction, no purpose, no faith, and no reason to live. The men wasting their lives on distractions, and the men consumed with resentment, anger, and hate. Charlie wanted to help them. He wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA. And when he went onto campus, he was looking to show them a better path and a better life that was right there for the taking. He wanted to show them that. My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That young man young man. On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
So that was very powerful and very moving. And yeah, this was on the CBC live feed. And the exact opposite of everything they had been telling their audience about Charlie Kirk, conservatives, Turning Point USA, her. The opposite of everything. Now, the one thing about the modern left is they probably turned off the TV because they don't want to know. They don't want to have the stereotype that's been fed to them by the teleprompters. They don't want to have that compromised because it really benefits them nothing, right? It profits them nothing. It only causes problems because they might say something that, one of the other lefties at the coffee shop might accuse them of being a witch for. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're a right winger. But very, very powerful. Very powerful. Everything CBC portrayed Charlie Kirk and his ministry to be in the last 10 days has been completely debunked by CBC's own stream. I hope that some of them watched it, or some of the people that just, aren't really engaged watched it and went, wait a second, it feels like the CBC's been lying to me. Like this wasn't months of rioting. This wasn't $2 billion in damage. Like, this wasn't setting cars on fire. This wasn't looting. This was the opposite of what the left does when they're mad. The actual violent people. So, I mean, that is that's very, very moving, But I do think that I mean, the mask is off now, and the naivete is gone at this point. Everybody knows exactly what's going on now and what the left is. And obviously, conservatives are obviously not going to emulate the left's violence, and they shouldn't. But I'm just saying that that naivete about them is gone. That's gone. The mask is off at this point. So now you have to be realistic about what they actually believe. And we know what they actually believe. Xerxes says, Trump just had a different view from Erica. Trump and Vance were mostly on the same page. Of course, Trump doesn't mince words. Fine either way for me. Yeah. Xerxes says, fine with me. True Survivor says, what CBC calls far right are liberal talking points from 20 years ago. Exactly. Just as a lot of what Trump says were liberal talking points from 20, 30 years ago, straight out of the mouth of Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. Trudeau Survivor says, Erica's speech was touching, but I still say firing squad for Tyler Robinson, the assassin. Yeah. Let's see. I wonder what's going through that guy's head right now, too. I wonder if he's come to his senses yet and realized my life is over. And however long it's going to last, and, you know, in terms of capital punishment, yeah, I mean, it's years, it could be decades, right? But whatever time he's got left is just going to be hell now. I wonder if that's gotten through his head. I wonder if that is, if he's realized that yet, like, why did I do that? I wonder if he's asking himself, or telling himself he went temporarily crazy or something. I don't know, but that guy's life is going to be hell from now on. Let's see. Turtle says 300,000 showed up. Wow. Yeah, and I think that stadium there had, I think it held 70,000 people or more, and there was a lot of people outside. Xerxes says, can we love and forgive but give the death penalty? I don't know. Well, she can forgive, and then society can give the death penalty. Trudeau Survivor says, Tyler Robinson is hoping Jimmy Kimmel will break him out of prison. Yeah, his life, yeah, I mean, it's so crazy just to completely just his life is over. Was he suicidal or something already? Like, what the, like, it really is beyond understanding just how deranged, like, I mean, he was deranged by ideology. It's ideology that did it to him. Let's see, Tulsi Gabbard. So let's see what Tulsi Gabbard had to say here. And she's a very strong speaker. And let's take a look.
Saying words are violence, and dissenting voices are hushed, and those who speak of God, those who speak the truth, simple objective truths like there are only two genders in these schools, they are told you have no voice. Charlie chose this arena to take these people head on, to challenge these institutions, these students and faculty, encouraging them to come, to speak honestly, bring your ideas, debate loudly, and think critically. And Charlie did this so well. He was winning, so much so that the forces of darkness, hate, and evil were threatened by him and tried to silence him. History shows this dark pattern that when ideas cannot withstand scrutiny, whether it's the ideology of so-called religious fanatics or political fanatics, their defenders, terrified that their weak ideas will be exposed for what they are, turn to intimidation, censorship, and violence. They kill and terrorize their opponents, hoping to silence them. But in this evil that we have experienced, that Charlie faced, their flawed ideology is exposed. Because by trying to silence Charlie, his voice is now louder than ever. His message is more powerful and impactful than ever. The truths that he spoke have spread hundredfold. As Charlie was fearless. But where did his fearlessness come from? The answer lies in Corinthians. Therefore, be always of good courage and know that while we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. We are of good courage, I say, and prefer to be absent from the body and at home with the Lord. Therefore, we have as our ambition, whether at home or absent, to be pleasing to him. So our call to action is now. Every one of us needs to be a warrior like Charlie, to take shelter in God, to draw strength and fearlessness from the Lord who sits within every one of our hearts, to stand together, continue the mission that Charlie dedicated his life to sharpen our weapons of truth, common sense, and reason, to train, to study, learn, and to speak, exercise our God-given right to speak, and carry that torch that shines brightly because of God's love. So right now, if you feel afraid or lost,
Yeah, she's very good, Tulsi Gabbard. Every, always. She's always very good, very strong. Turtle says she is a strong woman. She is. She's not trying to be a kind of like some kind of negative stereotype of what a man is, of what a radical feminist thinks that a man is. She's just an individual, and that's how you're strong. It's by being an individual. Trudeau survivor says it's embarrassing to live in an era when half the population can't define what a woman is. Yeah. Xerxes says Andy No said that Antifa people coming from conservative families tend to be more violent than Antifa members coming from Seattle or Oregon. Well, I hadn't seen that, but it kind of makes sense because, you'll have some, at least some alienation happening and friction happening with the family, which might make them resentful and angry and anxious, that sort of thing. I can see that. Maybe there's a sense of, self-loathing from maybe a sense of betraying the family, especially if they're very antagonistic towards them. If you're being antagonistic to your perfectly nice parents, I can see some self-loathing arising from that. Spambot, how you doing? Good to see you. Good evening to you. Trudeau survivor says she is a strong vagina. Stop being woke. Stop being woke, Trudeau survivor. Not having it in here. Absolutely not. Let's see. As he says, I learned today that Linux and open source is infested with Antifa. Well, is that so they can secretly do their plans without being detected? Let's see. All right. Here, President Trump and Elon Musk were spotted sitting together and chatting during a surprise reunion at Charlie Kirk's memorial. Well, maybe it just reminded the two of them that, there's bigger issues at hand. And this is only a good thing because, they're much better together. I think they are both better together than, bickering. All right. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Stephen Miller. We'll get to him in a second. You guys, you'll never believe this. I have to take a break for a couple of minutes. I've been having a lot of rant juice, So I'm going to have to take a break for 2 seconds. I am going to turn on some music and then a cooking show, and I'll be right back. All right. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Why did that stop? Why did it stop? That sucks. Let's put the noodles on. There we go. Sorry, guys. Didn't realize that the video had stopped. All right. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Anybody who's not subscribed, subscribe to the channel right now. Become a channel member. Send money or something. And also like the stream. Get your free good karma right now. You know what happens to the people who don't like the stream. I've told you. The whole Liberace thing. I've told you. Just get on the trolley and do it right now. Now, I've decided to add something, a new wrinkle to the stream, which is I have a TREAT here. You guys know what that is? For Mr. Snacks. It's right by me here. He is in his little dog bed, just watching me streaming right now. Now, I have informed him that I have a TREAT for him, but he doesn't get it until somebody becomes a member, till somebody becomes a member of the channel. Now on YouTube, the studio is kind of glitching right now. I can't really tell. If you become a member on YouTube, just put it in the chat, and that will come up in Rumble Studio, and I'll be able to read it there, but I won't be able to see in YouTube Studio. But in any case, Mr. Snacks has been informed that he does not get the TREAT until somebody becomes a channel. I get a new channel member, or there's a channel membership gifted. So he's looking at me right now with those eyes because he knows. I explained it to him, and it's actually heartbreaking. And it's I'm shocked. I didn't know I had this level of cruelty in me, but I'm afraid we made the deal, and we just have to live with it, right? Everybody's going to have to live with it, including Mr. Snack. So no membership or something else coming in. Afraid he doesn't get his TREAT. He's not going to blame me, by the way. He's going to blame you. He's going to blame you, as he should, but we'll see what happens. We shall just see what happens. All right. Let's see. All right. What are you guys talking about in the chat here? Let's see. Let's see. Apparently, they've been doing purges of non-left supporters talking about Linux and open source stuff. Yeah, I've seen that too. OBS refuses to integrate Rumble. Apparently, I don't know. All that stuff is just—it's like punk, right? Punk. Like, remember, like Johnny Rotten, like the Sex Pistols. They wore swastika, like iron crosses and stuff, right? Because they were trying to be subversive. They've all just gone. I'm not saying that they were Sex Pistols right wing. Obviously not. They meant it ironically, right? But yeah, I mean, because leftism now is just neo-fascism. I think we can all agree on that, right? So they've all just got like all of like the, what would have been just kind of nice liberals have all just gone full on like neo-fascist. It's amazing. Let's see. That's Turtle says, interesting, talking about, well, what's this? The trans partner of the shooter. All right. You guys came through for Mr. Snacks. Xerxes was gifted a membership by Turtles. Guess what that means? Best ever. Guess what, Mr. Snacks? Here you are, sir. Here you go, boy. There you go. There you go. I just gave it to him, and he's very happy, but I just noticed he's got like a piece of old lettuce in his dog bed there. Where did he must have been going through the garbage. Give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. All right, the garbage is fine. So I don't know where he got that. Must have fallen on the floor earlier or something. Anyway, Turtles, Mr. Snacks, thanks you very much. And he's insisting I do this. If you could see his joy right now, you'd probably cry. He's very happy that he got his treat. I can say it now because he's got it. As soon as I said it, he looked at me again. No, that's it. You get the one. You get the one, unless there's more memberships coming in, then he gets more. This was actually a genius plan of mine because people feel, people love animals. They love dogs. And, yeah. Anyway, we have a new thing on the channel. Let's see. Yeah, so transgender partner came from a Mormon family, apparently was kicked out of the house. Well, we don't know. We don't have total validation of everything yet, but apparently there was, a gaming addiction and drug issues as well. Turtle says there's a rumor going around about the shooter receiving money from the left in his bank account. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around. It all seems pretty open and shut to me. Like the motivation is there. What is the motive? We know what the motive is. It all seems pretty open and shut to me. Trudeau Survivor says, I suspect Tyler was manipulated by someone much older, some kind of ringleader. See, this is all stuff that's very plausible, right? I'm talking about, some people are putting out there the Mossad is somehow involved in stuff. And no, I mean, I think you could probably trace like money from NGOs that were funded by Soros that are just giving out money to all kinds of extremist left-wing groups all over the place. And I'm sure that there may well be some of that, although not like direct. I don't think that a conspiracy needs to go further than him and the people that he was around. But yeah, we'll find out about that. Xerxes says, do we think he was a real shooter? Yeah, I think he was a real shooter. I think it's pretty open and shut on that. Turtle says it's in the Discord chat. Cash is investigating. Yeah, they're investigating like a couple of dozen people right now, maybe more. Trudeau Survivor says, I think Tyler is the shooter. Why go through the charade to go on the roof with the rifle? Yeah, I mean, he's dead to rights on that. It's definitely him. Turtle says, look at the Trump shooter. Lots of questions. Well, he was the shooter. That I'm satisfied that Thomas Crooks was the shooter in that. It's all the circumstances around it. It's a different kind of event. This was not a Trump rally, right? So this was not a politician. This was certainly, it was not the Republican nominee for president. In which case you would have, you have Secret Service protection. There's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like there were a half a dozen catastrophic security failures at that Butler rally. And that's what really sets that apart. And it just seems to be incredibly implausible that all that just kind of happened. It was just a coincidence. There's all of these failures, like catastrophic failures, one of which you would think would be enough to get everybody fired and never working at one of these again. This was an event that was not, I mean, the university apparently did not provide any security, and there just wasn't much security. Xerxes says, many people, Steve Bannon for one, don't trust the the text conversation between Tyler and his partner. That seems like it may be him trying to give the partner an out. It does feel a bit manufactured, although it may not be. It may be exactly what it is, but let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, next stream, Snacks doesn't get food or water until someone buys me a Ferrari. We're not going that far. And by the way, Mr. Snacks supports the channel too, so he was happy to play his part. Trudeau Survivor says, how about making a video of Mr. Snacks? Well, I do have one, actually, and hold on. It's a video of Mr. Snacks and Princess Baloney. Let me bring it up, see if I can find it. This could take a little while. All right, give me a second. I'll bring it up. It's been a while since we had this one. Can I find it? It's buried in all these bookmarks. Let's see. Must be coming up on it soon. Where is it? I've got like dozens and dozens of bookmarks now where I've got stuff stashed away in case I need them for future streams. It really comes in handy, actually, but after a while, it gets hard to find them. I'd probably get rid of some old ones that I don't need, that are obsolete. Okay, still looking. Give me a second, guys. Where the hell? I know it's in here. No, it's in here. Where are you? Just talk amongst yourselves for a moment while I look for this. Let's see. Oh, is it here? Is it in here? Oh, I think I know where it is. I know where it is. Okay, hold on. Actually, I want to show you this first, because Rosie did this for me, and I still haven't put music to these yet. Hold on. These are the merch videos that Rosie did for me. Check that out. I need to put music on it. I just haven't, because we should start selling some more of this stuff. Look at that beautiful Radio Baloney mug. Look at that. There's two merch stores. There's one on the YouTube channel, and there is one on the main YouTube channel, and there is a merch store which doesn't have mugs. It has t-shirts on Rumble, and there's a button you can click. You'll see it. Let's see. What's this one? Best Valentine's gift ever. Look at this. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Rosie. That's very, very thoughtful. Okay, we're about to find Mr. Snacks, so I think it's down here. Not too far now. I know where it is. There it is. Hold on. All right. Let's see. Hold on. I'm sure it's in here. There we go. All right. Here we go, people. I made a video. This is Princess Baloney and Mr. Snacks. So as you notice, I took this video when they were in space. I thought, that's so cool. We really need to record this for the show later. So cool. All right. So that's who got the snack. And he's very, very happy about it. Let me tell you. All right. Let's get back to the chat here for a second. Yeah, so there's the video of Mr. Snacks you requested, Trudeau Survivor. Let's see. Turtles asked, are they going to start burning Teslas again? Probably. They're just taking a break. The whole Tesla thing was like the boomers crusade, like weird boomers revolution. It was all boomers. It was weird. But, you know, that's explained by the fact that like MSNBC's audience, average audience age, it's the oldest of the cable news. Not by that much, by a couple of years, but it's, I believe, 72 for MSNBC. CNN's 70, and I think Fox News is 68 or 69. But you've got all of these, seniors that their brains are just getting rotted by MSNBC and they don't see anything else. And I think that explains the weird Tesla thing. Boomers Crusade. RSN, how you doing? Says, I agree. The text of the conversation doesn't sound right. It's a bit weird. It is a bit weird. It may be totally legitimate, but it also feels like I do think it was sent. It was a genuine, like it was those two people. I just think that it sounds like he's trying to protect like co-conspirators. That's what it sounds like to me. Xerxes says, Tyler's father apparently was a Trump supporter. Yep. These poor parents having to face the inevitable for their oldest son, probably the death penalty. Yeah, it's horrible. Trudeau Survivor says, regarding Butler, Pennsylvania, the head of Secret Service excuse that the roof being too steep to secure was bizarre. Not only that, but it was hot as well. She said it was hot. Unbelievable. That's a different situation, which still has not been explained adequately. All right. All right, let's get back to this. So let's see Stephen Miller here, who does not hold back. I have not watched this myself yet. I saw some of the JD Vance one. I saw a little bit of this live today, but most of it I just had to miss. Let's see Stephen Miller.
We'll defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy. And we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic.
I think this is all very confusing for the left because they're not rioting. Right? They're not burning buildings. They're not burning cars. They're not looting. Right? They're not attacking police. I think it's very confusing for them because they don't understand, a delayed gratification or just this kind of disciplined determination. They don't understand what that is, right? Like, okay, there's a goal. We're going to get to that in the future. And this is how we're going to do it. They don't understand. The left doesn't understand because they've got an epidemic of emotional incontinence. So they just go straight to rage every single time. And they did it down in LA with some burning cars and days of rioting and stuff. So they don't understand this. And I wonder if it's maybe ominous for some of them, but they're not going to, the right to the United States is not going to burn down the United States. Now, what they're going to try and do is win the right way, which is voting and demanding the right things from their politicians. That's what they're going to do, which is stuff that it seems like the left just doesn't get. They don't understand that impulse. They don't understand delayed gratification. They don't understand not just running out into the streets and screaming and throwing things through windows. They just don't get it. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Spambot says, I had a nap because I have a change when it's... You're not working tonight, are you? God, sleep inertia is brutal, he says. It is. Let's see. Denny Ringus says, how you doing, Denny? I prayed for the left, hoping God will help the left. I think that there has to be, for one thing, the left's display their weird kind of like demented like orgy of joy and schadenfreude after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Like, it didn't win them anybody. Like, nobody saw that and went, oh, I want to be like them, right? I think people who weren't them already were disgusted, or very few people would have seen that and said, yeah, I want to be that. Right? I want to be that woman cackling like some sort of evil witch over the death of somebody. I think very, very few people would have seen that and thought, I want to be that person. Right? I think there would have to be many, many, many more who would look and go, I don't recognize these people. I don't recognize these people around me. I'm not that. I don't want to be that. In fact, this is terrifying. I didn't realize that this is what these people are. And again, it's not a few people, right? We've seen the polling. It's half, at least to some extent, would justify or find a political assassination justified. So, we're talking when it's doctors and lawyers and nurses and legal aides and professors and elementary school teachers, it's not fringe at that point. It's not
Small fringe minority.
It's terrifyingly large. It's like polling. You don't need to poll every single person in a country. Right? Like a poll of 4,000 people in Canada is actually going to be pretty accurate if you do it correctly. So we know there's a lot of them. And I think that there are people that are just going through their lives and they're maybe just reflexively Democrat, or in Canada, Liberal, in the UK, Labour. And they're not really aware of what's going on around them or what they even really support. There has to have been a lot of people who said, I don't support this anymore, and are going through the same journey that so many of us went through, that I myself went through, a decade ago. And I went, yeah, the left is crazy. I don't like this, and I don't want to be associated with this. I'm changing my mind. I have to think there's a lot of people, and they're going to be courting those people now for the good of the country, because and the good of Western civilization, because what the left wants is ugly. It is ugly. It is destruction. It is hopelessness. It is poverty. It is slavery for everybody. So, yeah. Turtle says Trump is reenacting the Smith-Mundt Act back to 1948 by commies. I think we can take credit for that, for the video that we did months ago. And actually, you guys take credit, because you guys are the ones who wanted to make the to talk about it. So you guys are the ones who forced me to look into that. So I think we'll take credit for that. I think all of us. I don't know. Maybe we played a small, tiny part. I don't know. Let's keep going. So JD Vance. And JD Vance has been, I think, really remarkable. I think that when he hosted the Charlie Kirk show, I thought that was a remarkable moment. And that was a moment of declaring, yeah, we're not going to be naive anymore. That was the no unity speech. No unity with the people that are going to scream at somebody's children at Disneyland because the parent has ideas they don't like, or people are going to celebrate political murder of his friend. Right? It was an announcement that, okay, things have changed now, and we see you, and we know what you are, and you can't pretend anymore. We have lost our naivete about you.
Charlie suffered a terrible fate, my friends. We all know it. We all saw it. But think, it is not the worst fate. It is better to face a gunman than to live your life afraid to speak the truth. It is better to be persecuted for your faith than to deny the kingship of Christ. It is better to die a young man in this world than to sell your soul for an easy life with no purpose, no risk, no love, and no truth. Charlie suffered.
Yeah, right? Like, those are fighting words, but not fighting words in the way that the leftists do or Democrat politicians do. Right? Like, what's her name, that witch in California, the congresswoman, the totally crazy one, the one who was the one who kept telling people to get in their faces in the streets, don't let them go anywhere, get in their faces. I keep forgetting her name. What is her name? Just that awful, awful Democrat congresswoman there. She's got like one of the poorest, Maxine Waters. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I want to check something out. I want to bring her up. Where is she? What is she saying here? Hold on.
Peaceful protest did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to?
Yeah, so there she's lying about the ICE riots in Los Angeles, which apparently didn't exist according to the ADL for some reason. So strange. How about this here?
Enemy of freedom and of California's 43rd district. She wants violence in the streets while she lives high on the hog in her $4 million LA mansion, hiding behind a wall of wealth. She divides us. But Patriot Omar Navarro is working hard this election. Let's bring the mob, Madam Maxine Waters, is an enemy of freedom.
I want to find that clip that they just showed there, but it must be in here somewhere. It's got to show up eventually. Let's see. I don't want to go to YouTube for it. Hold on. Let's see. It's got to be in here, for God's sakes. Here, is this it?
Is an enemy of freedom and of California's 43rd.
All right. Why can we not find that? It's got to be in here. Hold on. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do the YouTube one. All right. We'll be back in a second. Where is it? Nope. It's not it. All right. Hold on a second. Actually, maybe if I just get more specific. Don't let them know peace. Oh, I think I misspelled her name. That's what I put, an M instead of an N. All right, there we go. I mean, sorry guys. This always happens when I'm not properly prepared. Oh, for God's sakes. Now I've got to find it is the thing. Just talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. This is it. All right. So this is the difference, right? You're not hearing any of this from Republicans or conservatives.
Let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. Let's stay the course.
Not welcome anymore, anywhere. Anymore, anywhere. So that's not what is happening here. So it's different. It's very, very, very different, right? So this was an appeal to emotional incontinence here. This is, an appeal to no delayed gratification, just do it now, violence. Obviously an appeal. I mean, gathering crowds, maybe you might want to call them mobs. Very, very different. This is more a disciplined determination. And I don't know if they realize what it is they're witnessing, right? If they're witnessing at all, right? Because I think it causes them actual physical pain to ever hear anything they disagree with. I'm talking about the modern left now. How about this? Reporter speaks to two young men, one registered Democrat, one independent. Neither will ever vote for Democrat again. So this is what I'm talking about. That the appalling display from not a tiny minority of leftists probably horrified a lot of the people around them.
I was talking to two young men this weekend. One is a registered Democrat. The other is what he would call an independent or moderate Republican. Neither one of them agreed with very much of what Charlie Kirk said. But they had watched Kirk's videos on campuses for years as Kirk debated students and anyone else who wanted to stand in line for the chance to prove me wrong, as Charlie Kirk put it. And they respected that. Both of them separately told me this weekend they will never vote for a Democrat again. Both said their social media feeds were filled with far left agitators celebrating Kirk's assassination.
Notice that it wasn't Charlie's opinions that inspired those young men. It was his willingness to debate. Now, I, like the young men who spoke to Elizabeth Vargas, did not agree with Charlie Kirk about everything. I oppose banning abortion, and my religion doesn't hold that life begins at conception. I am a big fan of the Civil Rights Act, and I think Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. But Charlie Kirk still invited me on his show.
Yeah. Izzy says, I posted the link in my X chat, but see you found it also. Well, I think this is the one you sent me, and I put it into this bookmark. But yeah, I think that, it has to be the case that there was a lot of people that saw what the people around them that they thought were saying, and were horrified and thought, I don't want to be a part of that. Whatever group they're in, whatever club they're a member of, I don't want to be a member of that club. And it really is going to require, long-term change is going to require the Democrat Party, which at this point, is just utterly and totally soulless, just as the Liberal Party is in Canada, Labour is in the UK. They just, if liberalism is dead, conservatives didn't kill it. It was the Democrats. It was the Liberal Party in Canada. It was Labour in the UK. They're the one. It was the left that killed it. If it's grievously wounded right now, no Republican did that. No Canadian conservative did that. That was the left that did it. The left did it because they decided they didn't want to be liberal anymore. So what's going to be required is enough people becoming disgusted enough so that, in the next presidential election, and actually in the midterms as well, that it doesn't, the Democrats don't win the House, because if the Democrats win the House in the next election, it's just either houses. It's going to be just the rest of Trump's administration will be a write-off. We won't be able to get anything done. But, especially in the presidential elections, it can't be by 3 points. I mean, the fact that Trump beat Kamala by, 2.5, 3 points when all was said and done is a disgrace. Really? I mean, that's terrifying, right? Should have won by 20. It's got to get to that. It's got to get to the point where they're losing by 10, 15, 20 points. And they go, okay, well, this experiment with Stalinism has to end. All right, so let's keep going. What are we, an hour and 24 in? Wow, we haven't even got to the other news yet. I was going to keep this one short. Doesn't look like it's going to be that short. Holy crap, drone video from above State Farm Stadium showing just one of the lines. So, yeah, we heard in the chat, I think that 300,000 was mentioned tonight. This is posted by Nick Sortor. Let's take a look. And it was expected to be a huge crowd. That's just the line? Whoa. Look at this. Holy jeez. That's just one of the lines. Wow. Yeah, I think that something is being unleashed. The left has unleashed something, not just by the actual assassination, but by the response to it, by their glorying in it. And it's not what the left unleashes. It's not wanton violence, right? It's something else, something more effective, ultimately. This was just weird. From Catch Up, ABC News correspondent Matt Gutman is under fire after claiming Charlie Kirk's shooter, Tyler Robinson's messages to a trans partner were very touching. Just weird. Weird. This is the weirdest narrative maintenance that I've actually seen. It's hard to believe somebody would get in front of a camera to a national audience and do this.
ABC reporter slammed online after saying alleged Charlie Kirk text messages were very touching.
We have seen an alleged with such specific text messages about the alleged weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect.
Matt Gutman made this confession.
Yeah, and Hitler was nice to his dogs. Sorry. Tommy gets nothing. That's just bizarre. That's bizarre. Who wrote that? Did the people who put the words in his teleprompter? Like, how long did it take them to come up with that? Weird. All right, so that's everything I've got on that for now. And let's see, did I miss anything? Actually, did we watch this last time? When did this come out? This was 17th. It's the 21st. We probably watched this, but maybe we'll just watch it again. It's only 27 seconds.
Who grew up in a pretty normal family, actually had a pretty good home life, who was radicalized by the far left, by the social networks of the far left, by the ideas of the far left, and got so far down the path of radicalization that he killed my friend. That is not a both sides problem. My friend is dead because of left-wing political radicalization, and if you want to cut that out, then be honest about it and look yourself in the mirror.
And the honest truth is, he didn't need some, Antifa mentor. All he needed was MSNBC, Joy Reid, Chris Hayes, CNN. That's all he needed. He didn't need some mentor, some far left mentor. The far left mentors were on cable TV. All right. All right, so I think that's everything. Let's move on. So, just the level of delusion from these people The level of delusion from these people. Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City. And the outrage to her is not that a man was murdered in cold blood for wanting to have conversations and debates, but that Jimmy Kimmel was effectively fired after lying about the assassin to trick people into thinking it was MAGA. Essentially excusing the left, wiping the left of their guilt and complicity, and people like her, actually, for their rhetoric. This is the weird delusional world these people are in. Posted by Defiant L's. Cynthia Nixon. So she canceled her Disney. How effective? How effective is this? She canceled her Disney. Well, the conservatives beat her to it, by the way. I'm sure she's not aware of that.
Hey, I just canceled my Disney Plus and Hulu subscriptions. And they asked me why. I hit other, and I wrote, because I believe in the First Amendment, reinstate Jimmy Kimmel. Now, my whole family is really going to miss Abbott Elementary. We are really going to miss Only Murders in the Building. But you know what? We would miss the First Amendment a whole lot more. Don't go to the theme parks. Don't go on the cruises. Cancel your subscriptions. Now.
Yeah, we beat you to it, retard. Didn't you know that? The right doesn't like Disney and has been saying it for a very long time. Now just nobody likes Disney, all right? And it's their own fault. By the way, it's not First Amendment, okay? He's not being prosecuted and sent to jail, even though he did break FCC regulations. But that's not going to happen to him, right? What happened to him was what you've been advocating, what the left and people like her have been advocating happening to just normal people, because somebody dug up a tweet from 10 years ago about something that in 15 minutes ago the left decided is now genocide or something, or the worst thing ever. No, these are not the same. We are not the same. Okay, these are totally different things. He lied about a crime on national television. This is not a First Amendment issue. It's just like, what kind of a fantasy world do you have to live in that this makes sense, that you would have the confidence of your convictions, of your insane, bizarre, ludicrous, naive convictions, that you would make this video and think that this makes sense. I mean, I guess to the people she has her dinner parties with, it makes sense. But it's truly bizarre. I just canceled my Disney Plus and Hulu subscriptions because I believe in the First Amendment. It's so self-righteous, too. Like, anybody who canceled their Disney after what they did to Gina Carano, I don't remember anybody making videos saying, because I believe in the First Amendment, they're just like, no, we don't want to support this company. Like, they obviously hate us. That's why we're doing it. It's not because she believes in the First Amendment, because that has nothing to do with the First Amendment, right? It's because it's fashionable and she can get attention doing this. That's why. And you're not fooling us, okay? None of you people are fooling us. Benny Johnson posted this, and this is actually a bit closer to why Jimmy Kimmel why his show was suspended indefinitely. He's saying that local ABC affiliates are calling me nonstop to share just how dead Kimmel's show really was. Well, affiliates said they would not carry his show anymore, and it wasn't just because of the comments. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, because they were complaining that nobody watched it and they couldn't make money off of it. They were forced to run it by ABC, and they're like, okay, this is the chance for us to just say, no, we're not actually doing it, and this is why. Also, too, they didn't want to run it because it was a money loser for them. Let's continue.
These affiliates have reached out to me. I've taken a never-ending stream of calls from the ABC News affiliates and broadcast affiliates writ large. And those owners are telling me, thank you. We are the broadcast partners of ABC. It is our right to take the broadcasts down if we do not believe it is in the public interest of our audience. ABC isn't just some type of giant monolith that just broadcasts to all 330 million homes in America. ABC News must partner with locally owned, privately owned stations. And those stations, which represent, no doubt, Trump voters, the majority of them are Trump voters. Remember, you live in a country where 90% of the counties are Trump counties. Those station owners are sick to their stomach about the programming that is coming out of ABC. But they've never had the temerity or the backbone or the cultural moment to finally say, we're pulling Jimmy Kimmel's show. Till now. Here's what those owners told me, and a lot of this is going to come out, but boy, they told me some special little secrets about Jimmy Kimmel. One of the owners told me that Jimmy Kimmel's program has been like a hockey stick downward, that they can't even sell ads against Jimmy Kimmel's show because so few people watch it in the key demo and in their region, that they can't even sell like local Ford dealership ads against Jimmy Kimmel. The Ford dealership doesn't want the association. The local Ford dealership doesn't want the association. They can't sell Jimmy Kimmel's show because Jimmy Kimmel's show is such a repulsive stick in the eye to the vast majority of.
Well, didn't all those station owners that were losing money having the Jimmy Kimmel show on, didn't they talk to Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City first and find out how sad she is about it and how worried she is and it's the end of the world? Didn't they talk to her first? I guess they should have talked to her first. Yeah, and of course we know Jimmy Kimmel was planning on doubling down and attacking MAGA again before he got suspended. So he refused to go on and correct himself and correct the record. And that's when they suspended him. They weren't going to. They gave him the opportunity to make it right, and he refused to because I guess he's just totally demented and utterly narcissistic. I guess that seems plausible, right? So, yeah, sorry, Sex and the City woman. I mean, I guess you're not the hero that we all thought you were, huh? Let's see. Major retard. I do love that name. Disney will pay the price for pandering to those who eat their own. Yeah. Well, it's weird. I talked to a friend of mine, great guy, liberal. Well, he texted me actually, and he texted the thing about the boycott or Disney stock going down, and it was, I think, a bit of a snarky comment, like, well, I guess let the market decide. And I texted back, exactly, exactly, yes. The lefties are late on this. We beat them to it. The whole canceling Disney thing, we beat them to it by years. But they're so unaware of what's happening with the right. They are never exposed to anything outside of their bubble, right? They're watching CNN, MSNBC. 95% of the news in the United States, just like it is in every other Western country, is left-wing. They never have to see anything that would shatter their illusions and their fantasies. They never have to see anything outside of their bubble. Conservatives do. You can't get away from their news, from what they think. It's in everything. It's music, it's movies, TV shows. It's 95% of the news. Think about in the States. You've got ABC News, NBC News, CBS News, CNN, MSNBC. What does the right have? Fox News. They've got one. If you're watching your just local evening news wherever you live, it's going to have a left-wing bias. So conservatives know what people like her think. She has no idea what conservatives think. She has no idea what's going on in conservative world. Zero. They're completely ensconced in their little bubble and they don't want out. That's how they get so deranged. That's how they become so so psychopathic. That's why they're so violent. Because they've been driven mad by this constant narrative all the time of everybody's a fascist and every politician they don't like is new Hitler. And you add on top of that they are all totally historically illiterate, right? Especially if they've gone to university, right? They don't know anything about the world. All they know is propaganda. And I guess that's how this happens, right? And much, much, much worse happens, as we know. Let's see. Rosie says, how you doing, Rosie? I showed your merch videos earlier, Rosie. I don't know if you were here then, but I did show those. I dragged those back out again, and they're very good, and everybody loved them. Didn't you guys? Didn't you? Didn't everybody in the chat love those merch videos? I do. Don't know if anybody bought anything. That's the thing. Rosie says, a man is what you get when you remove the joyous whoa from the front of the word, maybe. That feels a bit, what's the word? Well, women is misogynistic and hate against, and being discriminating against men is misandry. It's a bit misandrous, I believe, Rosie. So I don't know if I approve of that. Izzy says that race car driver that was canceled because of something his father said years earlier, we are not the same. Yes. Cancel culture, the start of cancel culture was leftist. Remember when the Cultural Revolution was really getting going? And there was all of these things that suddenly, just normal things that suddenly were fascism and racism, like the OK hand sign. Because Trump did it, now it's white supremacy. That's still on the ADL's hate symbols list. I'm not kidding you. I showed it to you in that video I made last week. So are all these normal things and normal opinions, like believing in biology, for instance, right, that suddenly became hate, and there was people digging through people's Twitter feeds for years and a decade to try and find something that was fine then in context, and now the left had decided that now it's evil. Now, of course, they ignored Jimmy Kimmel doing his Karl Malone blackface thing, or Shaquille O'Neal, whatever it was. They ignored all of that stuff. That was the original cancel culture stuff. It wasn't celebrating political murder, political assassination. Very different, not the same. We are not the same. Spambot says, I have boycotted dismal Disney for over a decade. Yes, they didn't beat us to this. It's weird. Oh, jeez. J-Ham, how you doing, J-Ham? Not sure if this was the event that was the last straw for America. It feels like we have drained the oil out of the car. We can still drive it, but not far before it blows up. I think that where it feels like it's going is that it was a very galvanizing moment for conservatives, not just this is global now, it's the internet. I think there is a lot of solidarity between conservatives across the Western world, because we understand it's a war, not just against our own countries, but against the entire and against all of Christendom and Western civilization. But it was a galvanizing event, but in a different way from the way the left does it, right? The left's performance is immediate violence, immediately destruction, vandalism, arson, throwing Molotov cocktails at police cars, just lighting cars on fire, widespread violence, total lack of delayed gratification, and total emotional incontinence. The right galvanizes in a different way, where it's a disciplined determination, right? And the goal doesn't have to be, tonight or in 2 hours, or let's all meet at the Starbucks at 9:00 to throw some rocks through the windows. That's different. That's, hysterical, wanton, emotional incontinence. And that's something completely different. I think what we saw at the memorial today, the Charlie Kirk memorial today, was a disciplined determination, like a steely resolve, but in a different way. Well, it's completely different. It's it is, again, it's not, I'm going to run out and act like a lunatic. It's like we are going to achieve something through disciplined determination. Rosie says, like number 10 might be the only 10 I ever get. Like number 10 tonight gets 1.04 good karmas. A little bit extra. You might need that. Let's see. All right. I'm going to skip down to the end here. We got to move on because we're already going an hour and 45 minutes. Trudeau Survivor said Rosie's merch videos didn't contain any knit doilies. Well, I'm not selling them. Not selling those. Let's see. If I could, I would. Nevada says, Richie, get the bag off already. Well, that must have been 5 minutes ago. All right. Xerxes says, maybe this is what I was trying to explain, how I was trying to express myself. Because the left destroys and the right builds. Right? So at that memorial, you saw people that were ready with disciplined determination to build. And the left goes out to destroy. Right? So it's a totally different reaction. And it's because it's a totally different worldview. You have one that is just built on resentment and anger. And you have one that is built on civilization, like what is good for the world and people, right? What's good for your society? Whereas one is, I want everything now or else I'm going to burn the place down. Let's see. Nevada says, I was number 9. Can I get some good karma? Of course. So we get the normal amount of 1 for number 9, but also 2, you get 1.06 good karmas. So that's a little extra for you there. There we go. Nevada says, the left hates and the right loves. Well, the left is, everything is resentment. Right? And everything is a zero-sum game, an oppressed and oppressor narrative at a zero-sum game. So there's no kind of mutually beneficial cooperation. Somebody always wins and somebody always loses. It must always be oppressed and oppressor, black and white all the time. All right, you guys, I need to take another break for just a couple of minutes. I've been having so much rant juice. I'll be right back. right. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Everybody subscribe to the channel. Everybody like the stream, become a channel member, all that good stuff. Help the channel. I want to say to everybody watching on YouTube right now, this is very important. Nobody else has to worry about it. Rumble doesn't have to worry about it. But YouTube, I've got a new channel. I wanted to test out and see if I've suspected for, I don't know, for years, the whole time I've had the channel, that it's being suppressed. It's been flagged or something. I think because I started it like shortly before the whole COVID thing hit. And of course, I immediately started making videos about that. And I've always suspected that there's something wrong. And so I thought I'd start out a new channel. This new channel is going to be all of the world stuff, the US stuff, UK stuff, meme reviews, all that kind of stuff is going to be on Radio Baloney News. I just started it a couple weeks ago. And the channel you're watching right now, this is going to be live streams and Canadian news, but everything else is going to go here. And I have to say, it's got 37 videos on it. I just started it up a couple of weeks ago. It seems pretty obvious that my original channel, has been not blacklisted or whatever they do, shadow banned, something like that. My viewers are clearly not being, I've got 13,000 subscribers there, and they're clearly not being notified. Again, this is a tiny channel. It's only got like 60 or 59 subscribers right now. I just started it. And but already the views are suspiciously close to my channel with 13,000 subscribers. So something is there's obviously something going on. And I may just turn this Radio Baloney News into my new channel, because if it keeps going the way that it is, it'll overtake in views. It will overtake the main channel, I don't know, a couple of months or something, or maybe even sooner. So I may just going all the way over to the new channel. We'll just have to see. But please come over here and subscribe. Help me out. Algorithm's not going to help me. But it appears at least it's not, the boot isn't down on this one yet. At least yet. But I guess we'll find out. All right. Let's see. Xerxes says the left wants to overthrow capitalism, but they fail at creating a successful socialist state anywhere. Well, there is one. It's North Korea. That's the perfect socialist state. That's the perfect angle. They perfected it there. It's awful. It's inhuman. It's totally dystopian. It's 1984. That's where it goes. That's where it leads. They keep thinking they will eventually. They destroy but cannot build. That's the thing. They think that all of the things that are required to build a successful society are white supremacy, like showing up on time, or like nuclear family, or like believing in reality. All right. Let's get on with it. All right, so we did this one. What do we have here? So let's get to this new liberal hate. Let's get to this new liberal hate bill, Bill C9 in Canada. I think this is the appetizer for the truly dystopian bill, which is to come, the resurrection of Bill C63. They'll call it something else. The online hate bill will be called something else. Or maybe they'll probably keep Online Hate Act and then change it from C63 to C64 or something like that. I don't know. In any case, the Trudeau Liberals' dystopian censorship bill, Bill C63, died in Parliament when Parliament was prorogued. So when the government's prorogued, all legislation is just tossed out, and it has to be started over. From scratch. And I guarantee you, they are going to want to bring back the insane pre-crime Online Hate Act, just dystopian censorship bill. I guarantee. But I think this is the appetizer here, Bill C9. So it's a new hate crimes bill. Let's hear Sean Fraser talk about it here. He is the Justice Minister, or maybe Injustice Minister.
What do you mean by reasonably confused? Because concerns we're hearing from some Muslim groups is that like a Palestinian flag could be flown outside during a protest, and a police officer might confuse that for Hamas's flag.
Yeah, look, thank you, and that is such an important clarification. So when we are dealing with a
so don't worry, leftists, you're going to be fine. Don't worry, it won't apply to you. Such an important point.
terror organization that has a specific symbol, we would be targeting that. But when I say reasonably confused, what we're trying to target is someone who would tinker with an image slightly to make the argument that in fact it's not the symbol, when in fact the intent is to still promote hate through the use of the symbol that may not be observable easily in the circumstances. So this is not about to be clear, this is not about a Palestinian.
To be clear, there is zero chance that this law that's going to be arbitrarily wielded politically, there is zero chance that anybody carrying a Hamas flag is going to suffer any consequences under this bill. It's not for them. It's not for anything that the left, it's not for anything that liberal voters are going to do.
And how do you expect a police officer to be able to make that call in the heat of the moment?
So that's one of the reasons.
All right, let's just get to the bill itself. So, first off, I want to go to the Canadian Constitution Foundation. Liberal hate crimes bill raises free speech concerns. Surprise, surprise. So this isn't the internet censorship part. Again, this is the appetizer. The internet censorship is going to be coming, and this will just establish the grounds for it. The Canadian Constitution Foundation is concerned that key aspects of the Carney government's proposed hate crimes legislation would unduly infringe on freedom of expression. Well, of course it will. It's the liberal government. Among other changes to the criminal code, Bill C9 would establish a standalone hate crime provision that would allow for up to life in prison for committing an act motivated by hatred. And already you're wondering to yourselves, well, how are they going to define that? I'm going to guess it's going to be kind of arbitrarily applied. Would create new intimidation and obstruction crimes related to buildings used for religious worship or primarily by identifiable groups, and would establish a new crime of willfully promoting hatred by displaying certain symbols such as terrorist flags or Nazi swastikas in a public space. Again, if you think that the Hamas flag is going to have, if you think that they're going to have any problem with the Hamas flag, think again, because they're not. This is going to be used in one direction and one direction only. They are not going to piss off their new voters. The CCF, Canadian Constitution Foundation, has identified the following concerns. Overbreadth of hate symbol provisions. It could chill legitimate speech in cases where it is unclear whether a symbol is principally associated with a terrorist group or resembles a symbol outlawed under the provision. Let us not forget that the Trudeau government, in its absolute idiocy and left-wing pandering, made the Proud Boys a terrorist group. It's a drinking club, and they hadn't done anything. They're not even a terrorist group in the States, right? So anytime you start to think, well, maybe that sounds reasonable, no, it doesn't. Think 5 seconds longer, and it doesn't. Let's see. Extreme sentencing under the new hate crime offense. A person who commits mischief against property motivated by hatred, whatever that is, could face up to 7 years in prison rather than the current 2 years. By the way, these things there's already laws for all this stuff. The liberals are doing it for a purpose. Removal of Attorney General oversight. So this is a big one. The bill would allow police to charge a person with hate speech without receiving the Attorney General's consent, which is an important safeguard for freedom of expression that has been part of Canada's law for decades. So this is so they can just print up a pile of them and just hand them out to political enemies or people who are to political enemies and dissidents. That's why. lowering the threshold for hatred. The definition of hatred, added as a new section 319.7, appears to lower the bar for hate speech set by the Supreme Court of Canada in cases like R versus Keekstra and R versus Whatcott, which could chill speech and public debate. Gee, I wonder if the Liberals would like to chill speech and public debate. Sounds exactly like the sort of thing they might like to do. Let's go to the bill. We're not going to spend hours on this, don't worry. It's going to be relatively quick. Bill C9. An act to amend the criminal code, hate propaganda, hate crime, and access to religious or cultural places. So, repeal the requirement that the Attorney General consent to the institution of proceedings for hate propaganda offenses, so they don't need to bother with that. They won't need to bother with that anymore. They can just print up a big pile of hate arrest warrants, I guess, and just start throwing them at everybody they don't like. B, create an offense of willfully promoting hatred against any identifiable group by displaying certain symbols in a public place. Again, you have to assume, I mean, it's really just guaranteed that that's going to be used arbitrarily. Create a hate crime offense of committing an offense under that act or any other act of parliament that is motivated by hatred based on certain factors. We know how that goes. Create an offense of intimidating a person in order to impede them from accessing certain places that are primarily used for religious worship or by an identifiable group for certain purposes. E, create an offense of intentionally obstructing or interfering with a person's lawful access to some places. None of this will actually affect the people that are doing that now because they are seen as loyal liberal voters. So let's see. Willful promotion of hatred, terrorism, and hate symbols. So the only thing they actually mention here is the thing that doesn't exist in Canada. So the Nazi swastika, that's the symbol they're really worried about. The one that just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So I guess if you now do like with Trudeau, there was like the swastika with Trudeau, obviously saying that Trudeau was a Nazi, right? I guess that would be hate now. But why just that? Why the thing that you never see? It's just not a thing in Canada. You don't see all these Nazi flags all over the place. You do see Hamas flags, Palestinian flags. You see terror group flags. You do see that. Why aren't they in here? We know very well why they're not in here. Right? Why aren't they in here? We know very well why. Because it's not going to apply to them. Those are liberal voters. So, no, I'm afraid not. I mean, the absurdity of this, that they put this in, they specify this thing, which just isn't even in Canada. This is not a thing in Canada. You don't see these swastikas everywhere. You do see flags. You do see flags for hate groups or terrorist groups. You do see them, but they're not specified in here. There's only one that is. I mean, it's so transparent. What else do we have here? So, hatred means the emotion that involves detestation or vilification, and that is stronger than disdain or dislike. Well, I'm so glad they've made it perfectly crystal clear what hatred means, and that it can't be interpreted in literally any way that some activist judge wants. I'm so glad they've made it so clear. It's worded like this so that an activist judge can just interpret it however they like. Just don't like somebody. I mean, who decides what an emotion is? The strength of an emotion means the emotion. So we're making emotions illegal? So emotions are illegal in Canada? How does this even make sense? That's an illegal emotion. What? Hatred means the emotion that involves detestation or vilification, and that is stronger than disdain or dislike. Well, do you hate Nazis? Is that a hate crime? Let's see. For greater certainty, the communication of a statement does not incite or promote hatred for the purposes of this section solely because it discredits, humiliates, hurts, or offends. Still not any clearer. So we've got an illegal emotion that involves somebody's definition of detestation or vilification, and it must be stronger than disdain or dislike. So who's making this decision? Somebody who's calling everybody they don't like a Nazi and a fascist? This doesn't, which is every leftist apparently now, and the CBC and CTV and Global. Remember, they called, on the CBC, they called Charlie Kirk far right. It doesn't fill me with confidence. Offense motivated by hatred. Everyone who commits an offense, referred to in this section as the included offense under this act or any other act of Parliament, if the commission of the included offense is motivated by hatred based on race, national or ethnic origin, language, color, religion, sex, age, mental or physical disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression. So, gender expression, gender identity or expression. And as we know in Alberta, the conservative premier passed a law banning basically child sex surgeries, banning child sex changes in Alberta. So I wonder if this has anything to do with that. Also, if you commit a crime, like I'm not into this offense motivated by hatred. You should just have, there are punishments for crime, and that should just be it. Because, again, you're relying on somebody's interpretation of an emotion. Nobody can read anybody else's mind, right? This is all just, I find it very dystopian and insane. And of course, it's going to be wielded arbitrarily against anybody who's not left wing, anybody one step to the right of Stalin. Life if maximum term of imprisonment for the included offense is 14 years or more, and up to imprisonment for life. Imprisonment for life. If your term is 14 years or more, but you did it with hate, but you did the hate, imprisonment for life. Again, I think we need something a bit more tangible than just somebody's idea of what hate means. Somebody's interpretation of something that can be, of a definition that can be so broadly defined. And there really isn't any objective measure. Like, there's no test you can do. You can't do an experiment, right, to find out what somebody's hate level is exactly. Well, that's 9.4 of hate. You can't do that. And again, we can't read minds. And also, should an emotion be illegal in the first place? This is all insane. So there we have it. But this is not the internet part yet, right? The internet, this is just setting the stage for the internet censorship, for their online hate bill. This is just setting the stage and normalizing their definition of hate. Their new definition that could just be interpreted in any way that any left-wing activist wants. Because again, there's no objective measure. You can't test for somebody's hate level, right? Things are going to get worse before they get better. That's my statement. All right, let's get back to the chat. What are we, 2 hours and 9 minutes in? Because we're crazy. That's why. Because we've lost our minds. It's too long. It's too long to stream, especially when we got tons left. Especially when I thought it was going to be a short stream, but it wasn't. What do we got? What kind of beautiful ads do we got here? How about, you guys like coolers, right? You guys like coolers. Oh, it's not letting me do it. Let's try again. One more time. All right, outdoor crew. If you're into fishing, anti-communism, camping, or getting off the grid, meet your new best friend, the Hunter Orange 25-quart cooler from Caddis Sports. That's Caddis Sports. Now, this isn't your average cooler, folks. It's roto-molded, which is, by the way, the best kind of molded. It's roto-molded for max durability. That's how you need it during surviving a communist revolution. Bear-proof and only 20% lighter than other brands. I understand it's also commie bear-proof as well for those communist bears. I hate those. Those are the worst. So it's easy to haul whether you're deep in the backcountry or just setting up at the dock. At the dock. Beautiful. Beautiful way to spend the day. You'll get up to 3 days of ice retention thanks to thick, high-performance insulation. And everybody knows that thick, high-performance insulation is the kind that you want. Why even get a cooler if you didn't have that? That means cold drinks, fresh food, and fewer ice runs. Whether you're chasing muttons offshore or posting up at a campsite. Best part, it's 40 to 50% cheaper than the big name coolers. Those big name coolers. I call it Big Cooler, but still built to perform season after season. Unlike all Caddis Sports name brand gear, it's proudly made in the good old USA. Use code RUMBLE at checkout for 10% off your order today. That's 10% off at your 10% off your order today when you use the code RUMBLE. It's the best code. Everybody agrees. That's caddissports.com, Caddis sports.com. Go grab the Hunter Orange 25-quart cooler. Go grab the Hunter Orange 25-quart cooler and keep your next adventure ice cold and communism free. There we go. You guys wanted it? You wanted the best? You got the best. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? Let's see. Turtle says, maybe I should put my VPN in California. That's interesting. Or in Canada. I don't know. It could be dangerous. Let's see. Rogue Thought says, who needs to conquer a nation anymore when they lay down and open the gates? Yep. Nevada says, Rogue might go way of French Revolution. We should all be very worried about that. Turtle says, I feel women are emotional and need to be checked, but what is a woman? Well, nobody knows. I mean, we're not biologists, right? Turtle says, we welcome Alberta and Greenland. I'll see everybody down there. Oh, God damn it. I got to get more nicotine. I'll be 2 seconds. All right. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I accidentally kicked Mr. Snacks there when I got up. Felt bad. He's a good boy. All right. What are we talking about? Everybody subscribe to the channel. Everybody like the stream. Become a channel member. All that kind of stuff. Don't forget to get your good karma by liking the stream. Everybody on YouTube, go over and subscribe to the new channel, Radio Baloney News. Do it now. On the homepage, you will find a feature channel, and it'll be that one, Radio Baloney News. And yeah, do it. Do it now. Everybody do it. Xerxes says, because they spend their time engaging in these cultural issues, because they can't actually improve people's lives with important issues like the economy, infrastructure, crime, things that people need. Well, the cultural issues are the most important thing for them because of their oppressor worldview, where everything is a zero-sum game with just a straight-up winner and a straight-up loser. But also the things that they do, like when they do engage, when they do have power over an economy, they mess it up because they don't like capitalism. They don't like free markets. They don't like personal freedom, right? They like central planning. They like redistribution. And they like the things that make countries fail. They like borrowing tons and tons of money. It's like on the left here in Canada, right? I mean, they hear the word austerity and they all lose their minds, but they don't consider for a second the debt. They don't consider for a second we're already paying $1 billion a week just to service the interest on the national debt. Like, that can't go on forever. They live in this fantasy world where it's just print money forever, nothing will happen, and everything will be fine. And the only problem is they're not giving more stuff away. And when there's inflation, it just doesn't click. They don't realize, it's the policies that's causing everything to be more expensive, and that's why they need to keep giving away more. And now they have to do like federal lunch programs because parents can't afford to feed their kids lunch anymore. It never clicks. It's just, no, more left. It's not left enough. The problem is it's not left enough, not enough debt. It's just a totally flawed view of the world, dysfunctional view of the world. Let's see. Rosie says, commie hate cooler ad, 10 out of 10. That's almost the most out of 10 you can get. Growls, enthusiasm, close to a good old boy accent. Well, thank you very much. Good to see you, JDL. JDL, 13th like. Hit that like button. Everybody listen to JDL and hit that like button. What a good person. Basically an earth angel. And 13th like, well, that awards you your usual one. Everybody gets one dose of good karma for a like. But we're going to add on 0.008 as well. It's a small amount, but it could make the difference. All right. Nevada says, sell me a commie repellent cooler. Well, they don't go out to the woods anyway. I mean, that's the thing. Rosie says, I like commie hate coolers. It's all about the commie hate. All right. Nevada says, I like Igloo and Coleman, but so do commies, and they will steal them when you aren't looking. Well, they'll just steal whatever you got. They don't care. Rogue Thought saying any stream less than 6 hours is too short. That's a compliment. I think we have done one 6-hour stream. It might have been the election stream in November last year. Spambot says, excellent anti-commie ad read. All right, I'm just going to skip right down to the end here. As he says, yeah, we need more of other people's money to spend on all the free stuff. Well, Thatcher said socialism's great till you run out of other people's money. Yeah, and don't forget, she said that after the UK had to be bailed out by the IMF in 1976. So if you want to see some austerity, get yourself an IMF bailout. All right. So, Canadian crime. Ongoing story here. In today's episode of Canada's Justice System is a Joke, this is Kirk Lubomov. In today's episode of Canada's Justice System is a Joke. So this is equity. This is what equity gets you. Calgary man who sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl gets reduced sentence because he's Indigenous. reduced sentence because he's indigenous, and they will send him back to his community. And this isn't rocket science, right? It's just a tragedy waiting to unfold, another tragedy waiting to unfold. Gladue principles were set out in a Supreme Court of Canada decision a quarter century back. Yeah, Canada's been working on woke behind the scenes for a long time, and indicates sentencing judges must consider the unique circumstances of Indigenous offenders, as well as systemic issues like the impact of residential schools to address the overrepresentation of Indigenous people in Canada's prisons. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe we need to take a fresh look at it. Leftists don't care, of course. It's all about the ideology. They're willing to let tragedies unfold constantly, perpetually, forever. They're willing to ruin uncounted numbers of people for the sake of their ideology, to never say that they are wrong. They can't. They can't, because if they did, they would be, what they describe. They would be self-described fascists at that point. If they took not even just took a step to the right, just stopped moving left. So who cares? I guess that's their point. No, it's the ideology. I've said many, many times that the left is not trying to fit their ideology into the world. They're trying to fit the world into their ideology, and they are happy to break the world and the people in it in the process. None of this is about empathy or compassion. None of it. Because if it were, they would stop doing it. How about this? Suspected arson. Let's see. Suspected arson. Huh. Yeah, I do suspect that the person pouring gas on this car and lighting it on fire was arson. I strongly suspect that. Arson caught on camera in quiet suburban neighborhood. I wonder if this is another extortion attempt. Just give us money or else. This is something that's been imported from India. I don't know if that's this particular case. All right, let's move on from there. Hold on, people. Okay. So from Pierre Poilievre here. From Pierre Poilievre, Prime Minister Carney is recognizing the Hamas state in another effort to distract from his record of rampant crime, costs, debt, immigration, and job loss. So when I say that, don't expect the Hamas flag to be part of the hate symbol, to be a part of the hate symbols they're going to be affected in Bill C-9 and their new liberal hate bill. Don't expect that. It's not for people that the liberals think will vote for them, right? None of it is. But Prime Minister Carney is recognizing the Hamas state in another effort to distract from his record. Rampant crime, costs, debt, immigration, and job loss. I think it also goes along with his leftist, oppressor narrative ideology as well. As he distracts abroad, conservatives are working at home. Our priority is to put Canada first, restoring stronger take-home pay, safer streets, and secure borders with a self-reliant country. Prime Minister Mark Carney's priority is creating a Hamas state that will reward terrorists for raping civilians, taking hostages, oppressing Palestinians, and launching a war. Now, there were supposed to be some conditions for this from Mark Carney. What were those conditions? Let's see. Let's hear. What did he say? This was August 1st.
For the reasons I cited earlier, Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state. Canada will increase its efforts in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine and the contributions of its people to a more
Yeah, so none of that happened. None of that happened. But he's still doing it anyway. Huh. Weird. Weird. It's almost like he has no principles. Let's see. Ezra Levant from Rebel News posted this. He said, "You said you wouldn't recognize Palestine unless it met certain conditions because otherwise you would be rewarding terrorism. You said Palestine needed to become a democracy and have an election next year. You said Hamas could play no part in Palestine. You said Palestine had to demilitarize. You said Hamas must immediately release all hostages. None of those things happened, and yet you rewarded terrorists with recognition. You've not just sold out Israel, you've sold out Canada and Canadian values." So what? I guess he thinks that Hamas values are Canadian values, right? Mark Carney, today Canada recognizes the state of Palestine. He just couldn't wait. He was so excited to do it, he couldn't wait. What did he say, December, if they meet all these conditions? No, I'm just excited about this. Christmas comes early for Mark Carney. Canada recognizes the state of Palestine. If you think any of these hate laws are going to apply to the people waving terrorist flags, chanting genocidal chants and slogans and screaming death to Canada, death to Israel, death to the USA, yeah, think again. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It will be like everything with the Liberals. It will be arbitrarily applied against people he doesn't like or CBC doesn't like. State of Canada. It's all so predictable. It's none of it's surprising anymore. I'm never surprised by any of it anymore. They can't. There's no low for them. There's no low. There's no bottom, right? To the abyss.
The Conservative Party of Canada has put out a statement not long ago with their comments. They write the following. Prime Minister Mark Carney is recognizing the Hamas state in another effort to distract from his record of rampant crime, cost, debt, immigration, and job loss. At the end of their statement, they say Conservatives will always stand for Israel's right to exist and to defend itself. Of course, all of this coming, Natasha, as the United Nations General Assembly gets underway tomorrow. Mark Carney making his way to New York tomorrow. And this will, of course, be a major topic of conversation because we are now at 140 odd states and entities that have recognized the Palestinian territory now as a state.
There's so much reaction coming in. So many people have.
I just want to go back to the new Liberal bill that's been introduced, first reading in Parliament. And let's see where their priorities are in here. So talking about hate symbols. There's only one that they specifically put in here, which is the swastika. The swastika. That's it. It's something that is just basically non-existent in Canada. There's no Nazis in Canada. There's no Nazi movement in Canada. There are mobs on the streets with Hamas flags, terrorist flags. You see, like ISIS flags, for God's sakes. Right? You hear chants, death to Israel all the time, death to Canada, death to USA. But they put this one in there, this totally irrelevant symbol to what's happening right now. Right? Like, I have a hard time believing that if you're Jewish in Montreal, you're worried about neo-Nazis, right? They're not the ones to be worried about right now. Right? If all of a sudden you see a Hamas flag through your neighborhood or just a Palestinian flag, a mob with those flags walking through your neighborhood, which is something that they're doing, that's going to make you nervous because that's an immediate threat that's real, that everybody can see. I know the CBC, CTV, Global doesn't like reporting on it because I guess it's bad for business. It's bad for liberal business. But why not have that specifically in there? Because that's the threat right now. That's the real, tangible threat. It's real, right? Why not have that in there? Well, we know why. We know why. Because they don't have any, they're not worried about that. Those are people that the Liberals feel they can count on to vote for them. And that's why. All right. Canada, dystopian place. Pierre Poilievre, who, so it's, I think it's quite clear at this point that Mark Carney is not trying to get a resolution to the tariff issue with the United States. He's putting no effort. He's not trying to do anything about it. Mark Carney doesn't seem to want a deal, which is the reason we don't have one, because we see every other country's getting deals. UK just signed a second one. We're hearing from the Trump administration, from the people in the Trade Department, that they're very disappointed with Canada's efforts, and it seems like they don't actually want a deal. And I think this is happening for political reasons in Canada, that Mark Carney doesn't want a deal. He doesn't want to resolve this. I am certain that if Pierre Poilievre had been elected prime minister, something would have happened by now, because he would have seen it in Canada's best interest. And make no mistake, the reason there's no deal right now is because Carney sees it as in his best interest. That's the only reason.
I would seek a tariff-free deal. I mean, we used to have that privileged access to the American economy, and in exchange for that, we could provide more continental security that would make both our countries more secure and stable. That's the deal that I would go for. And I think that the key back home, though, is to become more self-reliant, strong, and stand on our own 2 feet so that we have the leverage to negotiate. And right now, Mark Carney doesn't have a lot of leverage because liberal policies have made us overly reliant on the Americans. If we were building pipelines and port expansions and moving our resources to the Pacific and the Atlantic to faraway markets, then we could go to the Americans with the ability to say we have other options. And right now, of course, after 10 years of anti-development liberal policies, we don't have other options. And so Mr. Carney has unfortunately negotiated out of a position of weakness. I would seek a tariff.
Just so much common sense could have happened, right? Like the digital sales tax, that would have been gone immediately, right? That was a bipartisan issue for both the Biden administration and the Trump administration. You know that the Online News Act, again, bipartisan issue. The Biden administration didn't like that. Trump administration doesn't like that. These things all would have been gone. We would have been starting from a much, much better place. And also, we would have had somebody would have seen it as in their interest, not just for the sake of the country, right? But even just for political interest, to get something done, get something beneficial done. We could have had that. Instead of this kind of charade that's happening, where, we keep hearing from Carney that our relationship with the States, he keeps saying that, right? He keeps going to Europe as if somehow we're going to join the European Union, even if we did do something as idiotic as join this crumbling union. Where the biggest economy there is Germany, and it's shrinking, right? It's a basket case. Even if we did, we would just be used as a bargaining chip against the States anyway for the interests of Europe, not for Canada. There's something else happening in Mark Carney's mind, and his plans are not aligning with the interests of the country. There's this obsessive push to move towards Europe and then resist. It appears that it's just an absolute determination to resist coming to any kind of agreement with the States. Why isn't Carney down there? Why doesn't he just keep going down there? Why does he keep going to Europe with 7% of our trade when 80% of our trade is in the States? I mean, all of the rhetoric, the political rhetoric aside, we're right next door to the largest economy in the world. We have all these convenient roads and railways going back and forth. Get that deal done. Like, that's just the only sane thing to do. So we had a choice. We made the wrong choice. Hopefully Canadians will see that. And I hate saying this, but for the next election. Let's see. Here's Pierre Poilievre again. Check the central bank website and your wallet. Something's missing, he says. So Sneaky Carney is being sneaky again, it looks like. Let's take a look.
Something is missing from the Bank of Canada's main webpage. You see, they had this mission statement at the top of the page that was there for 20 years, and it read the following. We are Canada's central bank. We work to preserve the value of money by keeping inflation low and stable. Keeping inflation low and stable. Suddenly, in May, only a few weeks after the last election, that mission completely changed. And now reads, more than a bank, we are the central bank of Canada. Period. That's it. No mention of low and stable inflation.
Geez, I wonder if central banker Mark Carney had anything to do with that. I wonder if he'd have a reason to do that. I wonder.
To preserve the purchasing power of your money. Well, isn't that convenient? Only a few weeks after Mark Carney is elected prime minister, suddenly the bank is not concerned with inflation. This, as the core inflation rate now is 3%. That's more than halfway above the 2% target, and it's rising quickly. And now we have Mark Carney nearly doubling Justin Trudeau's deficit, which means that the government will probably want to start printing money. And that will be nothing new for Carney. He printed money like crazy when he was the governor of the Bank of England, causing a massive inflation crisis in that country and leaving behind a housing crisis that has shut British youth out of homes. Now he brings that same inflationist ideology back to Canada. Since he became prime minister, government spending has risen by 8% above the Trudeau levels that were left behind. This is nothing new for the Liberals. As while Carney was Trudeau's economic advisor, the money supply grew by almost 100%, while the real economy only grew by 18%. In other words, the cash grew 5 times faster than the stuff that cash buys. And now we see the government getting even bigger and more expensive. And suddenly and inexplicably, the Bank of Canada removes from its headline mission statement the goal of keeping inflation low and stable.
And this was all predictable because you guys watching this know that I predicted it. Many independent commentators predicted all this, that he would just do what he did at the Bank of England. Right? Well, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. This should be obvious. Mark Carney was sold to us as this genius economist. Genius economist, same guy who'd been advising Trudeau since 2020, who just a cursory glance at his book Values shows you that his fingerprints were all over everything Trudeau was doing. He was the man behind the curtain. Clearly, read his book Values. You don't even need to read very far into it to recognize and go, oh, I see. Yeah, this is why Trudeau was doing what he was doing. He was doing what Mark Carney told him to. And again, sold to us as this genius economist. Mark Carney is, in fact, there was a comment I just was glancing. Metalmouth says, what mind, Radio Baloney? Mark Carney doesn't have a single brain cell. Well, I wouldn't go quite that far, but just read the first chapter of his book. He's a mediocre intellect. It's pretty clear he got into the right school, he got into the right channels, he learned the right things to say, and he's just failed upwards ever since. Read his book. This is not a dynamic mind, okay? It's just a bunch of green and Marxist cliches. His book, Values. Yeah, this is not a great thinker. This is not a dynamic thinker, a revolutionary thinker. He's a mediocre intellect, Mark Carney. And he's doing exactly what those of us who'd been paying attention and looked at his record in the UK and read his book, exactly what we predicted. This is all turning out. Well, it was all very predictable for anybody who bothered to inform themselves about Mark Carney. Unfortunately, not very many people did. All right. So let's check this out. A bit more Pierre Poilievre here. CBC Watcher says this is hilarious. Vasi Kapelos attacks Poilievre for the fact food prices rose after the elimination of the carbon tax. Yet she ignores the effects that Carney counter tariffs had on food prices. Well, that's right. He put counter tariffs. Mark Carney, the brilliant economist plan, was to put counter tariffs on food. You know, the food everybody's saying we can't afford it anymore. That was his brilliant plan. To punish the United States, to punish Trump. He made food more expensive for Canadians. Brilliant economist, Mark Carney.
Canadians watching right now treat you as an authority on the subject when for so many months, just on the economy more largely, you told them that if the carbon tax was gone, food prices would go down. The carbon tax has been gone since April the 1st, and food prices continue to rise.
Well, first of all, I was right about the carbon tax. Everyone now agrees after demonizing me for so long that I was right about the carbon tax, and imitation is the highest form of flattery. But you know what I have to say is even more incredible is that Carney has been able to over his increased government spending, which is staggering. He's doubled the deficit in 6 months, has flooded our economy with printed cash, which is ultimately causing inflation. Now, it is true that the CPI is lower than it would otherwise be, and everyone agrees, all the economists, I think even the Bank of Canada, that that is because of the carbon tax. You're welcome. But when you flood the economy with hundreds of billions of dollars of extra printed money, as Mr. Carney is doing, you cause inflation in every other area of life. And what really worries me is that once the carbon tax elimination rolls off the monthly inflation measurement early next year, we're going to see really high rates of inflation. We're already seeing it in the core readings. We're already seeing it in the food prices that are rising 70% faster than the Bank of Canada's target, with 4 million visits to Toronto food banks. Mark Carney is doing the Justin Trudeau inflationary spending on steroids, and I'm very concerned this is going to cause serious human suffering.
But
we've been saying that Carney's going to be turbo Trudeau. We were saying during the election that Carney was going to be turbo Trudeau, and we were right. We were right about that.
Statistics around inflation show that even food inflation from the first month after the carbon tax was cut outpaced regular inflation. Mm-hmm. The promise you specifically and your colleagues made to Canadians was food prices would go down if the carbon tax is eliminated. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen. Why should you be treated as an authority more largely on what the government should do on the economy?
Well, I'll tell you why I should be treated by...
I wonder, I guess it must have been Pierre Poilievre's fault then, I guess. Is that the message we're supposed to get from this?
As an authority on this one, Vashi, is because I said that Carney would only suspend the carbon tax before the election and then bring in a new one after the election. And that's what he's doing. The fuel standard, the Canadian fuel standard that he's bringing in.
That was in existence already.
But it's rising every year. And it is going to get to 17 cents a litre. According to the parliamentary budget officer, what was the old carbon tax? 17 cents a litre. So just as I predicted that he would bring back a carbon tax, he is doing that. And we don't know yet exactly what the impacts will be on food prices, but we can be sure it's a lot. Because whenever you raise fuel prices...
But what you said didn't happen. I have to respectfully challenge you. I take what you're saying about the clean fuel standards, okay? But you didn't say, but there will be the clean fuel... You said, if the carbon tax is gone, food prices are down.
But he's brought in a new carbon tax.
But he didn't. It was already in place. That policy set existed when you were making those comments.
Right, and it's growing. And it's hard to keep track of all the liberal taxes. There's so many of them. It's like, which one are we talking about? But this is another 17 cent a litre tax. And as I said, whatever benefit that Canadians got from the elimination of the carbon tax, Mr. Carney has obviated. He is nullified with massive new money printing deficits that are even worse than the ones that Trudeau left behind.
Well, it's not just that. I wish he had mentioned the... I wish he had mentioned the counter tariffs that Carney put in on food, but I also wish he had mentioned the unending flow of mass migration into Canada, which obviously causes inflation on everything because there's more demand for the same products, right? So I wish he had mentioned that. I don't think he performed as well there. That's one of his worst interviews that I've seen, actually. So, and I hadn't watched that before the stream because I didn't have time. All right, we've seen that. All right. And I like Poilievre. Poilievre is great. I think he's the future of the country, but that wasn't his best moment there, I've got to say. Let's see. Well, Canada. So let's see. Stephen Tyler, according to Rachel Gilmore. Now, Rachel Gilmore is a very far left, extremist far left, Canadian journalist, I guess you can say it. Was fired from Global News. Now makes TikTok videos, I guess. And she used to publish stuff like this: gardening, canning, and other signs of far-right extremism to watch out for. Gardening, canning, and other far-right extremism to watch out for. Only in Canada. Although it's not only in Canada. That's the problem with the world right now. Stephen Tyler says, according to Rachel Gilmore, my 95-year-old neighbor might be a far-right extremist. She gardens, preserves food, and even attends church on Sunday. Suddenly, I'm feeling a little nervous. This was from 2022, before she got fired. But, you know, everything always moves into the same direction with the left, with the radical progressives. It's just be dependent. You know, don't rely on yourself. No self-accountability. No, it's the government. You must rely on the government. You must be weak and helpless. Always. I mean, can you imagine you writing that? I mean, what did the editor think when they saw it? I mean, they must have gone, can I really publish this? I guess, I don't know. Like, how does this get into print? It's so insane. 95-year-old neighbor might be a far-right extremist. Yeah, see, this is why when the liberals introduced hate legislation, be nervous, because they're the same people that do this, that believe this, that gardening and canning are far-right extremism. What else do we got going on? All right, we already saw that. Let's move on. I think we're getting close to the end now. All right. Everybody subscribe to the channel. Let's go here for a second. Everybody subscribe to the channel. Everybody become a channel member. Everybody send in all of your money. Empty out your bank. No, just kidding. But becoming a channel member is really great, and gifting them as well is really awesome. Like the stream and get your free good karma right now. Like the stream and get your good free karma. This here is for the YouTube people only. Rumble, everything's going onto Rumble. Don't worry about that. X as well. But from now on, the channel you're watching right now, if you're watching this stream right now, is Radio Baloney. It's the original channel with 13,000 subscribers. I've started a new channel just a couple weeks ago, Radio Baloney News. This is going to be the home for all of the world news, U.S. news, meme reviews, UK news, woke mind virus stuff, all of that. That's all going to be going on here. All the gender gibberish stuff is going to be going on. Radio Baloney News. If you go to the homepage for my Radio Baloney channel, under featured channels, it will be this one up here. So just go there, subscribe. You know the algorithm ain't going to help me out, so I'm relying on you guys. Thank you very much. If you want to see all these fine videos, it's worth it just for this one alone. The media's false right-wing violence narrative. I go to the ADL's heat map and show you how they fake the figures, how they structured it so that they don't actually have to count any left-wing violence, including the George Floyd riots, including the ICE riots in LA this year. Apparently nothing happened from the left. And I show you how they make the woke sausage. Meme reviews, all kinds of stuff. You guys are going to love it. Beautiful. All right. Let's see. Rogue Thought says, China, India, and Russia just laugh at the West, hobbling themselves with this self-induced destruction. Yeah. Yes, they do. It's insanity. Xerxes says carbon tax is a race to the bottom. It's so stupid, it's so counterproductive, and it does not change global climate at all. Just a way of stealing money from people. Rogue Thought says Greenland will allow no carbon taxes, certainly when I become emperor. It'll be in the Constitution, I'd bet. Right, Nevada? Well, I think there's going to have to be a civil war between me and JJ Nevada to fight over Greenland. Who gets Greenland? Nevada really wants Greenland, wants it bad. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to go down a little bit. Nevada says we need truckloads of commie hate. Truckloads of commie hate.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
Is that what we're talking about? I think that's what we're talking about. Radio Streamer says also no mimes. I know it seems petty, but I think we can all agree 100% creepy. Just talk. Just talk to me. Mimes are worse than people that want to have long conversations with you by text. Even worse than that. I don't play this. Tell me your life story on texting on my phone. I don't play that game. Absolutely not. It's for, hey, I'll be there in 10 minutes, or hey, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. That's what it's for. Nothing else. I'm not a 15-year-old girl. I'm not having some deep, meaningful conversation by text. Absolutely not. You want to talk to me? You got something important to say? You goddamn well call me. Absolutely. And I'll tell you what's even worse than that. Trying to mime it to me. I'm not playing that game. You want to tell me your life story by mime? Absolutely not. You can go to hell. You can go straight to hell.
You shall not pass!
So yeah, I'm all over that. And no mimes in Greenland either. Absolutely not. Rogue Thought says, I live in Washington State. They've pushed that BS here too. Yep. Lefties love it. They love it. Nevada makes a great point. Carbon taxes are for losers.
Not in this lifetime, Sonny.
That's right. Clint Eastwood agrees. Let's see. All right, I'm going to scooch down a bit. Izzy says, WTF, gardening and going to church is far right now. Well, the left definitely thinks going to church is far right. They've made that pretty clear. Let's see. Rogue Thought says, commies hate these noodles. Nuff said, pure evil. I couldn't agree more. Nevada says, stinking commies. Commie gets nothing. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I bet most mimes are commies. Of course they are. Of course they are. That's not even a question. Rosie says, anyone know a way to block voicemail for one phone number calling in so that number cannot leave voicemail? I guess it depends on the phone. I guess you can't just block isn't there just an option to block the number? Radio Streamer says, funny that anything that gives you independence from the government is far right to these people. Yes, it makes them very nervous. Right? You got to understand they're collectivists and they are central planners and they want the government to be their overlord. They want the boot on the face, right? They want it. They crave the boot on the face. And they want it for everybody. All right, what are we doing next? We did what Canada. So let's do some Trump stuff. This is not from the memorial today. This is yesterday or the day before. So President Trump just asked Dr. Oz to list Trump derangement syndrome as an official mental disorder. All right, it's Trump being Trump. Let's take a look.
You're going to have we have a problem because these people are crazy. The Democrats, they have a serious case of what's known as, which is actually a disease, I think. They're going to put it down. Are they going to list that? Dr. Oz, are they going to list, you know what I'm talking about, right? Trump derangement syndrome. Is that? Why don't we list that on Wednesday? Let's do the more important ones first. No, it's a serious disease. It's a mental disorder. Trump derangement. Yeah, that's right. It's it's a mental disorder. Trump derangement syndrome, and they've got it in levels that have never been seen before. But that's good. That means we're doing the right thing. I made it the official policy. You're going to have.
It really is, though, is the thing. It really is a mental disorder. It has deranged so many people, right? I just put out a short with Jim Acosta and Rosie O'Donnell being Trump deranged and accusing him of having dementia and blah, blah, blah. And totally bonkers. I mean, sane people don't behave the way that people with TDS behave, right? Sane people don't think that Trump is a dictator. It's just ridiculous. They don't think that he's Hitler or a fascist. It's totally absurd, right? How many of his Democrat rivals has he arrested so far? None so far, right? And so he's way ahead of the Biden administration already. All right, let's keep going. Oh, here we go. So President Trump on the probably only legitimate pardon Joe Biden made. Well, he signed Hunter's pardon personally. He wanted to make sure that one really stuck, right? The big guy, the 10% for the big guy, wanted that one to really stick.
I think the only one he actually signed was Hunter's pardon was actually signed by him. You know how you can tell? It was like chicken scratch. My father's, you want a real signature. This was like chicken scratch, like a little thing. The auto pen looked much better. I think the only one he actually signed.
The auto pen looked much better. Oh, that's funny. Steve, how you doing? Just like my grandpa used to say, I wish I had a nickel for every mental disorder out there. Be a very, very wealthy man. Rogue Thought says, the problem is he needs to have some arrests. Well, I think there actually will be some coming, but for actual crimes. And Nevada says he's finally complaining about Bondi. I saw that. He truthed that. Let's see. All right, let's Rogue Thought says Master of the Slight. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to the next one. I think I got a couple of these. Which one is this one here? Trump is standing firm against Schumer and has no fear of a government shutdown because it will be their fault. Well, it's clear at this point that they're just going to oppose him. They don't have any other plan, right? They've got no strategy. It's just, we're just so used to just opposing literally anything that he says or does what else are we going to do? They're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. They've got no other plan. They've got no strategy. What that tells me is that they don't even care about the country. They don't care about the United States. It really is just all power and politics to them. It's nothing else.
The White House.
Well, thank you very much. As you know, we passed the continuing resolution in the Republican House today. It was an amazing vote, actually. It showed we want to keep things going and going properly. It was good for a lot of reasons. The Republicans want to keep government open. But in the Senate, we have 53 Republicans total and we need 60 votes. That means we need Democrat votes. I want to thank Senator John Fetterman. He wants to keep the country open. We're doing so well as a country. We're doing probably better than ever before. If you look at the stock market and other indicators, we have tremendous investment coming in, record investment coming in. Everything's going well, but the Democrats aren't happy about that because they don't want it to go well. I think they actually dislike our country greatly. So they want to shut down the country. They want to have open borders. They want to stop the fighting of crime, where we've been very successful. D.C., as you know, Washington, D.C. is it's a hot place right now. Everyone's having dinners. They're going out all over. There's very little crime. They haven't seen numbers like this in many, many years. And other places, as you know, we're going into Memphis. We'll soon be going into Chicago. We've already had people out there and in there, and FBI's been there. We've brought the numbers down, but we'll be bringing them down a whole lot. But I guess they want crime and we fight crime, and it's a pretty big difference. They want to have men playing women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. And if they don't get everything that they want, all these things that they want that are proven so badly, they want to close our government down.
Well, the truth is, though, they would want to do that anyway. He'd give them everything that they want, and they'd still oppose him. They'd still want to shut the government down. Like, I think it's pretty clear at this point. Like, they're not acting out of love of country. It's just purely about power and politics now, and hatred towards him. So I think I'm not going to say the Democrats are in a death spiral. And, you know, let's remember too, Trump didn't beat Kamala by 20 points. He beat her by like 3 points. But I think you might see that lead widening with the behavior of the Democrats, and particularly after how horrified so many just kind of default leftists, default liberals, or default Democrats must be, how horrified they must be by seeing the reaction after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that horrific, brutal murder, which, you know, many, many people have actually seen what that really looks like because of social media, what it really means. And what needs to happen is that a bunch of people need to just leave and say, I'm surrounded by crazy people. Like so many of us did. Like this is what happened to me 10 years ago. I went, I'm surrounded by crazy people. I don't want to be part of this. Right? No, wrong direction. And so that 3% needs to turn into 10% or 15%. That's what needs to happen. A very clear message needs to be sent that people don't want to live in a society ruled by psychopaths, you know, in filth and violence and fear and poverty. That's what needs to happen. So we shall see. What else do we have here? What about this? Eric Doherty, funniest president ever. Well, Trump's talking to a reporter here. I wonder how this is going to go. Let's see.
Regarding Antifa, what you posted. NPR, sir. Regarding
Are they still here?
They are?
Are they still here? Oh, good. Congratulations.
Yeah. Regarding designating them a terrorist organization, when they don't have defined leadership or membership, how do you target them? Antifa.
We're going to find out, right? We're going to see. People have been talking about it for a long time. We're going to see. Did they have anything to do with your network?
No.
Okay. But we're going to find out.
Regarding Antifa, what you posted.
So, NPR, and I love the way he just kind of tortures them like that. I thought they were gone. They're still here. NPR. But, you know, they make these assertions like there is no leadership. Well, do we really know? I mean, we know that there's leadership within the groups. Like there's, you know, like in Portland, we know there is actually leadership there. It is an organized group with membership. They have merch, for God's sakes. But Trump's quite right here. Do we really know that there's not something tying them all together? I mean, obviously they're all in communications with each other and they travel to different protests. But how do we know there's not something? I mean, they're getting money from somewhere. Somebody's funding them. Some of it's just public funding. Some of it's from municipal, state, and even federal organizations, NGOs. But do we know where all the money is coming from? Does anybody really know that yet? I mean, they're going to find out. Do we know if there's not some sort of collaboration with foreign groups, right? I mean, what exactly is going on? Are we certain that there's no actual hierarchy here? The media just keeps saying that over and over again. And one thing I've figured out over the years is that the media constantly lies, blatantly lies. So, like when they tell us that the vast majority of violence comes from the right. Yeah, that's a lie. That's them fudging the numbers. That's them not counting the ICE riots in LA this year, or even the ADL. Watch my video. Go to my new channel on YouTube where all of the world stuff and US stuff and everything that's not live streams and Canadian news is going from now on. Go to Radio Baloney News and watch my video on the ADL heat map. Now, these are this is like one of the resources that the media uses to say that, well, the vast majority of violence comes from the right. That's bullshit. It's totally fake. And in this video, the media's false right-wing violence narrative, I show you exactly how they do it. They're not even actually hiding it. It's shocking, actually, how open it is, the deception. But they're going to find out. And I think a lot of people will be surprised. And I would say that organizations like NPR will have to eat crow, but they never will, and they'll never admit they're wrong. So just like CNN will never admit they're wrong, and MSNBC will never eat crow, and the New York Times, and the Washington Post, and the CBC, and the BBC. But we'll know. We'll know. Let's see. What's this? All right. What's going on here? So this is insane. This is totally insane. The leftists who shot up a local ABC station over their suspension of Jimmy Kimmel has just been released on bail. Let me repeat that. The leftist who shot up a local ABC station over their suspension of Jimmy Kimmel has just been released on bail. So he did this the day after there was a big leftist protest outside this ABC station. Probably not MAGA. And they just let him out. They let him out. Wow. Let's take a look.
Police say ABC 10's building was targeted in a drive-by shooting yesterday afternoon. 3 bullet holes were seen in the window of the building's lobby. No one was hurt, but people were inside of that building. Thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Cecil Hannibal. We know that Sacramento police arrested the suspect this morning. KCRA 3's Denson Cortez is live in the newsroom tonight. Denson, what have you learned?
Yeah, Cecil, Sacramento police arresting 64-year-old Anibal Hernandez Santana, who was released on a $200,000 bail earlier today. And authorities finding that.
Police say ABC 10's building was
Sacramento, just let him out. A guy shot at the ABC station. Like, I guess good luck, California. Good luck. How about this? Breaking gunman who attacked Sky Meadow Country Club. Gunman who attacked Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua, New Hampshire, was shouting "Free Palestine." Let's take a look.
You get the sense that they knew who.
Didn't hear anything. He just came out and said.
What he said.
Yeah, what he said was the children are safe and, free Palestine.
What was that moment like when you heard the gunshots?
At first, I didn't realize it was gunshots. It sounded like balloons because, we were at a festivity thinking, maybe somebody popped the balloon. But then you look around, we didn't have balloons. And then it got serious because there was 2 and then 4 right away.
By the way, the Free Palestine stuff, they don't count that either in their numbers. So this is how they do it. The ADL would have you believe that there's been zero. Hold on. The ADL would have you believe that there's been zero left-wing extremism, terrorism in 2025 in the United States. That's on their heat map. They would have you believe in 2020 there were 9 incidents from the left. That's right, 9. 9. They also have, 5,200 from the right. And they only count anti-government activity as right-wing. Can you see what they're doing there? Can you see what they're doing? Lying is what they're doing. But the statistics clearly, oh, God. It's sad how many people just swallow it, you know? What's going on here? Why do leftists mutilate themselves? From Pericles the Great. Why do the leftists mutilate themselves? I don't know. What's going on here? Hold on.
The age of men is over. The time of the orc has come.
Now, to be fair, it may not actually be a leftist. Maybe somebody who's just completely politically neutral or unengaged entirely. I think we know, but maybe an extremely nice person too. But we just don't know. And people surprise you often. But I just don't see I don't know. I don't get it, though. I'll just say I don't really get it. It's too much. It's too much. I mean, this is like a lot of permanent stuff, you know? Like the tattoos on the head thing. That's always one. But you're always going to have those holes in your face, even when you get rid of those things. Even if you say, I'm sick of setting off the metal detectors. You're still going to have all those holes in your face. Rogue Thought says leftists mutilate themselves because they hate themselves internally. Well, maybe maybe there's something there, huh? You do kind of get the sense of a kind of nihilistic sense, right? Nevada says a demon. Well, it could be. I mean, hold on. Let's see. Probably like a super nice person, right? I don't know. You don't know. I mean, you can't always judge a book by its cover, and seems to be taking the whole I can't drink because of what I've done to my face thing with good humor here, but probably like Antifa or something. Rogue Thought says, I bet this person doesn't can his food from his garden. Probably not. Probably not. But people will surprise you. I mean, Styx Hexenhammer, he's a big gardener, and you wouldn't think that looking at him either, right? All right. Anyway, I think we might leave the rest of it until the premium stream tomorrow, because we've been going 3 hours and 13 minutes. I do have some stuff I want to get done tonight, and it's starting to get late. And I think that Mr. Snacks is getting tired of listening to me. So I think we've got long enough tonight. I think we'll do the rest tomorrow for the premium stream, I will say. And we got to do a couple hours of that to fulfill my obligation to the Rumble Creator Program. And that'll probably be the last premium stream of the month because, I won't have to do anymore. Not that I don't like doing it. I do. But I also get tired sometimes. I just get tired sometimes on Mondays. But all right. Let's get to the chat. Actually, I'll put something else on for a second. And don't forget to go to the new YouTube channel, Radio Baloney News, all of the world news, U.S. news. Everything will be on this icon here. All the beautiful meme reviews that everybody loves so much is going to be there. Making fun of Jimmy Kimmel's going to be over there. Kash Patel just really killing it in these hearings, in these congressional hearings. He's funny, actually. It's really funny. I know there's issues with him, but he's pretty funny. Let's see. Rogue Thought says, Stick does not look like this freak from hell. No, but I'm just saying, I agree with you. But I'm just saying that you wouldn't think he was like a gardener from just looking at him. I mean, he dresses like a pirate. And I love Sticks. I think he's great, by the way. Xerxes, have I not seen you in the chat earlier? Xerxes, did I not say hello? Anyway, good to see you. And also, good night. JDL says good night. Good night, JDL. I'll go back a little bit here before we sign out. Izzy says, I'm starting to believe in demon possession. Demon possession. I know. Maybe I am too. I've always said, I've always said I don't believe in ghosts, but I'm still afraid of them. And maybe I got to transpose that to demons. I don't believe in demons, but I'm still afraid of them. JDL says mostly peaceful protests. Those ones the ADL doesn't count. They don't count the mostly peaceful arson and riots and like firebombing police cars and police stations and stuff. They don't count that as for the left. It's really so shocking. I mean, it's so brazen, the lying. And it just gets repeated over and over and over again on leftist media. None of them bothered to look into it. You could do it quick. You know how long it took me to figure out how the ADL was lying? It took me 5 minutes. Like, it's easy. There's so much that's just easy to find out if only anybody would just bother to try. Like, controlled burns in Canada. I was looking into the fires in Canada and trying to get to the bottom of that. And one of the things I thought was, I wonder if the government has statistics on controlled burns going back decades. Guess what? They do. It didn't take me very long to find it. I was able to go through the data and see they used to do lots of controlled burns. Then in the late 70s into the 80s, they stopped doing it. And I thought, well, that seems strange. Or like most provinces, there's no controlled burns happening at all. Like every year it's not happening. That started in the 80s. And I thought, well, I wonder what happened there. So then I did another 5 minutes of research and found out that it's because residents around towns and cities were complaining about the smoke. So they just stopped doing the controlled burns. Like, this stuff is not that hard to find. I mean, I don't expect people have to work. I mean, like Spambot works like 80 hours a week, right? Like, I know that's what I'm here for. But what I'm talking about is journalists or people that are, like leftists that are really, really like fanatical. Like, they could check their own sources occasionally, right? They could, like some of them could, and then tell the rest of them, but they don't. Certainly journalists don't do it. Journalists have no interest in interrogating anything that comes out of their teleprompter. Zero. We can say that now with full certainty. If you're expecting a journalist to be a journalist in the old sense of the word, like trying to get to the truth, forget it. They're not going to do it. You don't hold your breath, all right? You'll suffocate. Izzy says, most think the media is authoritative news. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Let's see. Rogue Thought says maybe he was just celebrating outside that ABC building. Yeah, the guy who shot at it, the lefty that shot at it. Xerxes says that's because that shooter has to get to an anti-ICE rally tonight. Well, they couldn't let him be late, right? All he did was shoot at an ABC affiliate station because he was mad they canceled Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, all right. All right, well, that's it, everybody. I'm tired. We're done. We have 3 hours and 18 minutes in, which is pretty good for a Sunday, I think. I don't even remember what we normally do on a Sunday, but anyway, that's pretty good. One last time, everybody on YouTube, go to the new channel, Radio Baloney News. I just started a couple of weeks ago. All the world news, U.S. news, meme review, all that stuff's going over there. Everybody else, don't worry. Nothing's changing on Rumble or anywhere else. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Without you guys, it would be pretty depressing doing this. So... So thank you for being here. As long as you guys keep showing up, I will keep showing up too. So everybody have a great start to the week. It's Sunday, right? Yeah, it's Sunday. Everybody have a great start to the week, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow night for the premium stream on Rumble. You will need to be a Rumble premium member or have a channel Radio Baloney channel membership. to view that. And I trust that you all will take care of that immediately. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Good night, everyone.